All right. Recording in progress. Welcome, Tyler Perdue, owner, operator, proprietor of Pro Strongman League. How you doing, man?
Good, man. How are you, Dane?
I'm great, man. Thank you for coming on and doing this. I'm really excited to talk to you about some of the stuff that I want to work on with you and in the league. Clearly, you can see I got my
Background.
my professional background here. I might get a banner made up eventually, but we got the recording started. Funny thing, you guys will see it in a couple other episodes. I did an interview with Tyler and Meg Davis, and I didn't hit record for about a half hour, but we still got some great stuff that I'm going to share with you guys soon. So real quick, Tyler, if you don't mind, I'm going to do a quick intro. I want to tell the PSL fans exactly what I told you I want to work on or what I want to do. I've been trying to like do more stuff to get involved in the sport with the YouTube. I
Yeah.
am in off season, right? Clearly, when the off seasons happen, we have more bandwidth. And I thought, what a better thing to do than support a league that I truly believe in and the qualifier process and everything that you have. And I've done three PSL shows now. I've been to four. Um, I would like to start. I'm going to start doing athlete interviews, right? I already started, right? We're Tarantinoing this shit, but I am going to do athlete interviews right now. I'm interviewing you, and I have already interviewed Megan Tyler Davis and Nick Hine. I've got Brandon Burley lined up. I'm interviewing champions and podium people from the past couple years,
Yeah.
and then I have a few interviews already lined up with athletes that have been to the big shows, to the finals, right? That didn't quite qualify. They didn't place high enough, and they're going back to the qualifiers the end of next month, right? 24th, 31st, and the 7th. I think the sign up deadline is today, tomorrow,
One of them's tomorrow. One of them's about a week from now. They're all before the end of the year.
before the end of the year. So I'm going to plan to put this out tomorrow. Tonight's Friday. I'm going to plan to put this out tomorrow and Saturday. Hopefully, some people see it and be like, God damn, I got to sign up, right? Like, let's go. So I'm going to talk to those athletes that are working their way back. A couple of them are my friends. And then what I genuinely want to do, guys, if anybody comes here from Tyler's page and you're listening, I want to interview the people who are taking a chance, the people who were like me 2 years ago and a year ago, jumping in the show. There's a bunch of names that I recognize that I'm going to interview that I know, friends of mine like CJ Pierce. But if any of you see this and you're doing the qualifiers, shoot me a message. Dane Trains on Instagram. Shoot Tyler a message. Get in touch with me, and I'll be more than happy to set up an interview and talk about your journey, why you're doing the qualifier, and what you hope to get out of this. Because PSL has given so much to me, Tyler, and I thank you for that. We'll get into that as we start talking here.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. I think it's actually really cool. And I would encourage anyone who's a part of that group that you just mentioned to definitely hop on.
Yeah. So and if they don't, I'm gonna slide in the DMs and ask anyways. So I
I've got
plan on.
someone in mind that I'm gonna send your way, and he's gonna have to talk to you. You'll know when he comes through. But I got someone in mind who just signed up for one of the shows. He's old school 105.
All
Um,
right. I might know who it is. I know one guy I would be excited to talk to who's thinking about doing is Kip Leitner. I met Kip at OSG,
Come on,
and
man.
I just like what that dude's all about. You know,
Absolutely.
he
Kip's
seems like
awesome,
a
man.
really good guy, and I'd like to get him know him better than just in the DMs. Anyways, let's see here. Look at some of my notes. So yeah, that's my journey, and I talked about it a couple of times. Hammer home, like I took a chance a couple years ago, didn't quite make it to the 105 show. Took a chance again last minute at Baltimore, made it to the big show, 90 kg, came in fourth. I'm over the moon. I'm invited back because I was in the top half. That's part of the qualifiers, which are listed on Instagram, guys. We'll talk about that. There's questions about qualifying, um, and it was just an awesome experience for me. I've beaten people over the head with my experience, so I won't do that. You'll see where in the interviews with Nick Hine and Tyler and Meg Davis, and then I'm sure Burley when I interview him tomorrow. You're going to see why these guys, these high level champions and some of the best in the world, like to do PSL. Um, so Tyler, with that, like I want to share with you a couple of things real briefly that, and I'll give you an opportunity to talk because I get like this. That Meg and Tyler said yesterday, and that Nick Hine said reasons they like PSL, right? For Meg and Tyler, they've done all the biggest shows in the world. Meg's currently a she won three championships last year, had a huge year. Tyler's won everything there is to win in the sport, two-time defending PSL champion, and obviously Nick Hine's the only two division PSL champion, if I'm not mistaken, at least for the men.
So far, yeah.
Yep. So see, I'm a fan of the sport here. So what Tyler and Meg said is they really like the single class format, right? Especially for them, selfishly, it's 64 and 90, so they can do it together. We talked a lot about that in their journey. But for Tyler, he said it really well and eloquently. Like he's done all the big shows, and it's tough. You tell your family, oh yeah, hey, you might tune in at this time, we might go on at this time, but then you got 4 or 5 other weight classes or 50 other athletes, and I might be back on in 3 hours. With PSL, you say, hey, it's a free live stream. I'm going on at 3:30 in the afternoon. We'll probably be done by 6:30. So just watch it like you're watching a movie. And the feedback his fans and family have given him is it's just awesome. So that's what they like about it. Meg kind of echoed the same thing. Meg, by the way, another one took a chance, came from New Zealand. You told me about her story. We talked about it. What
It's
a
awesome.
what a story. Took a chance, came over here, guys, and you'll see on the pod. I don't need to ruin it here. Spoiler alert. But and Nick Hine made some great points. I know we've talked about this. I've talked about it with other guys like Burley. The 2 day 105 Virginia Beach show, right? A lot of guys in the sport agree that's the Cadillac show. OSG has that big title, World's Strongest Man, but PSL has the 2 days, 10 events on the beach, in the sun, in the sand, grueling events, conditioning, endurance, right? It's the true test of who is the best athlete. That's what Nick said. Nick said it's the best way to find out who the true best athlete is. If you have a 5 event show with 2 overheads, well, the overhead guy is probably going to win, right? But in a show like yours, the way you design them, um, that's why he loves it. And I was what want to talk about? Why don't you talk about why and how you design those shows like that?
You mean the 105 show or all of them? That's a
Well, you could say all of them. The 105 just has more events, but they're really all designed to really test all areas, right? You want to speak to that? You could say
yeah.
it much more eloquently than I can.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. As far as the events go, like, I come from the world of strength and conditioning, so I appreciate all aspects of it, strength, work capacity, and just ta challenging as many disciplines as humanly possible within the confines of competition, to find the best well-rounded person. If I wanted to find the best overhead guy, we'd throw an overhead show, right? If we want to find the best deadlifter, we'd hold a deadlift show. If we want to find the best all-around athlete, then that's what we're good. That's what we're about. That's what we're trying to do every show, no matter if it's 10 events or six, is to find the best athlete, test as many disciplines as possible. We've got actually a lot of people messaging us when we put out events, and they've like counted up the number of disciplines being tested amongst the events. And sometimes there's he doesn't want to be named, but there's a guy he counts them up every time, and every now and then he finds more disciplines that are tested than even I did.
Yeah,
So it's pretty cool in that regard.
it's funny you say that. I'm one of those guys because when I was training for 90 6 event show, I think there was 11 different events in the 6 event show, including like 4 different overheads, right? And then I include the sandbag, the shoulders, because I injured my shoulder a little bit. So I'm like, man, I need this shoulder to rest, but I can't. I got double dumbbell, I got axle, I got keg, I got log. But I love it, dude. I love it. I would think it would be badass if there was a mystery event, right? That's the type of dude I am. Like I just like to be at show like CrossFit, show up, be ready for anything, right?
We've kicked the
Uh,
idea of mystery events around. Um, Not saying any of them are coming, but we've kicked that around every year. It's like, hey, what do we throw the tiebreakers are mystery events. Um,
yeah, that's great.
but yeah, we've kicked around mystery event ideas. I did a mystery event show many, many years ago. The whole show was a mystery event. No one had any idea what
Did
it
you
was.
get good signups? Because a lot of I did a CrossFit versus Strongman show a few years ago, and a lot of the Strongman didn't show up. We only had a couple Strongmen. One CrossFitters were like, "Let's,"
Let's do
I
it.
don't mind swearing here. Let's fucking go, dude. They had like 30 people show up, and we had 4 Strongmen. It's like,
Yep.
guys, because you're a little heavy, you can't do a pull up. Like, let's see what we can do against these CrossFitters. So, did you have a good participation in that show?
I did not throw it. I participated in it,
Oh,
and
you
no, it was
participated.
not good participation in that show.
Uh,
It was a great time, but there was not, and I think a lot of it's because people just didn't know what was going to be, and there was some interesting events in there that I would have liked to have known ahead of time, but I had a great time because it's
yeah,
just
I
that
would.
you didn't know what it was until the event was coming up. It's like, hey
I
guys,
would.
we're not going to warm up for this.
Oh yeah, yeah. You should know at least in the morning of, all the events. I would be more weary of like, oh, if there's a tire flip, do I really want to risk a bicep for a fun show? No. But I'm pretty much down for anything. It's funny at that CrossFit show, the CrossFitters whooped our ass in like the kipping pull-ups and the row machine, and then we destroyed them in the car deadlift. Like we actually added weight into the trunk because they were just struggling so bad. So it was good to see both. It was really a fun show. I'd love to do it again. Um, so that spurred a question that it's funny burying the lead because some of the questions later, spoiler alert, will be about this kind of. How often do you have like a 1 rep max type event in Pro Strongman League? I haven't seen one, I think, in over a year, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
they do exist. Like the 105s this past year had a fixed axle, 1 rep max.
Right, that's right.
The 82 women, they did have a circus dumbbell max. but it's probably more fair to say that more often than not they don't happen.
Yeah.
Um, there a lot of stars have to align for it to make sense to put one in there.
That's a great point. And later on, when we get to questions, we've got a request for you probably know who it is, but we were spitballing some ideas of like, ooh, this could be epic if you get the word out early for the '90s show. Could be an epic one. We'll talk about it in a little bit. Um, if all right, if you don't mind, so 2025, right? We're going to talk about 2026 and some upcoming stuff, and we don't have to get into all of it. I'd love to have you back on. Really, I want to hype the qualifiers right now,
Right.
and then maybe have you back on as the competition season goes on because I buried the lead. I always say bury the lead. After I do these qualifier interviews, I'd like to start talking to the guys over in Europe, see if I can get some interviews with those guys from across the pond for their Euro Championship, and then that's going to bleed right into the Virginia Beach show, which I'm going to be at with you. And there's no shortage of people to talk to, right? And I'm sure people, hopefully by then, they'll love to come on and chat, even if it's just a 30-minute quick interview. What event are you looking forward to? Who are you looking to go against? You know, where do you think you're going to play? Stuff like that. Um, but if you don't mind, let's go back in history a little bit. 2025, right?
Oh, man.
Um, every once in a while, there's I can't imagine how difficult it is to run shows of this level of quality, and they're not always going to be perfect, right?
For
I
sure.
know at the 105 show you had issues with the live stream vendor, and you talked about that. We don't have to go into too much detail. You talked about that on your story, and I commend you for going on your Instagram and talking to the fans and giving them a face rather than just like messaging and DMs and stuff. And then at my show, really not my show, at the 64s, the morning of, the live stream wasn't working, right? And we were going to talk about it a while back before I got into OSG prep. But do you want to talk about that real quick? What happened with that? You did get it working for the '90s, and what you were going to do to mitigate that in 2026.
Yeah, I mean we can dive into it. I mean ultimately it not being the standard that it should be is on me. Either not having a good enough backup plan, not having the right people there, um, you know, making assumptions is what it comes down to for the 90s show. It's I assumed that the power would be working. And we had on that staff, people with decades of experience in putting shows on, not necessarily strongman, but just shows, right? Production shows, lighting shows, video shows, and they were all astounded. It's like, what is wrong with the power here? We kept trying to plug things in. It was like tripping. This is a professional concert venue. This isn't like someone's like garage. And it had more than enough power to handle the video. Was we were plugging things in and it was tripping things and it just wasn't turning on
Yeah,
at all. And no power means no internet. No internet means no live stream. In hindsight, great to have a generator because that doesn't require anything but its own self and obviously fuel. So that would be the go-to coming up in the future. Is we test the venues. Like we plug things in, we run all the proper tests with the meters. You know more about these things than I do. I just know what they need to say and they say that or more and we're good.
yeah.
Um and then the day of, something's gonna happen. So it's unfortunate. I've taken it unbelievably personally over this off season and revamped quite literally everything to where it's, I put it in the post. I don't want to beat a dead horse. It's going to be more reliable. It's going to be more consistent. It's just going to be better all around. But it's on me one way or the other to make sure that that doesn't happen again.
Sometimes that's all it takes is that stress test, right? Like you don't know what you don't know. You pay for a venue, you assume that the power is going to be good, it's going to be enough. You give them your requirements. I know you do all your due diligence. And speaking from experience, I'm an electrician for those of you who don't know. So I've been around this stuff. I actually got called in for a power outage at a Bruce Springsteen concert. You have 20,000 screaming fans, and they're like, Dane, you got to get this shit working right away. Talk about stress. So I can't imagine. I know I don't have to imagine. And on a day like that, it's a Saturday. They had a festival going on, right? So maybe the electrician's not on call. Maybe they don't have staff there to come unlock the electric closets, right? There's a lot that goes into it, and the show must go on, right? So the show went off great. The girls had a great time. Meg said she had a great time. I talked to her. She's the champion. You had fans in the crowd. You had the '90s there coming in early. We were supporting them, showing them love. You just didn't have a live stream, right? But it happens. You got it going for us. I'm grateful. I like to watch my live stream and then hopefully going forward now you're going to have the generators and the backups, and then hopefully the power, now that you have a generator, dude, the power is never going to go out, right? But at least you have it.
That's the yeah,
That
that's
would
the
be
goal. As long as it's an outdoor show, I've learned this. Can't have a generator indoors. They don't allow that. But outdoor shows will be fine. The indoor, like the convention center shows, we're not allowed to have a generator. I guess there's some kind of toxic gases that come out of them, so that's no
Yeah,
good.
you'd have to
Um,
run some extension cords in the building. Then you need more cords, longer cords.
Not even that. You got to cross through thresholds and all this other stuff that you're not allowed to do.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yep.
I'm sure you know more than me, but the outdoor shows that we have, there will be a backup plan for that. And I was talking to a buddy the other day, and it's like, I forget the exact number, but we've put on more shows that have been live streamed than I think anybody in the past couple of years. And we're just going to run across some situations that experience is the best teacher, and it sucks that that's how it manifested.
Mm.
Just won't be making the same mistake again.
Dude, there's always the unknown. You got to roll with the punches, and not saying anything negative. I've been keeping these very positive, but there's going to be, you have 95% of the people are supporters and love what's going on, and then you're going to have the vocal minority that are going to make the loudest noise. But you're doing a great job. These things happen. It happened to me today. I have a power outage right now. I'm lucky my power came back on, and this interview wasn't going to happen. I was looking at like setting up a generator out in my yard. Um, but dude, it happens to everybody. You were at OSG. I was at OSG this year. They had a power outage for 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, bro. The
There's
whole arena just shut off, and it's like, well, who planned on that?
Yep, you can't plan for an act of God. But the show did go on. The
Yeah,
women had their
man.
show. You didn't have to shorten any of their events, any of that. Dude, rain happens. Like we had one of our sandbags get wet. To me, that shit's minor, right? That happened at our show. You had rain last year at Virginia Beach, and I was there. I helped pick up the stall mats and everything. But dude, you found a gym. The show went on, right?
Mm.
Um, I'm
Kudos to
sure
the
you would have
outside of
loved to
our.
have it on the beach.
Yeah, we don't go out there and build everything on the beach to move it inside. That's what I tell
Oh,
people. And
yep.
if
And
I
then
back up really quick, I want to give credit to OSG for getting back on track the way they did. I'm not sure there's many teams and many people in strongman that could have that level of like a catastrophic power failure. And then
yeah,
within 30 minutes, you would have never known it happened.
they did great. And so knowing what I know, I don't know a lot about production, but the power came on. They had to test some stuff, and they
Yeah.
wanted to make sure they said, "All right, guys, we're gonna take like a 15-minute break." They announced it on the mic, but I think they wanted to make sure the power was good because you have rolling blackouts, especially in a state like Texas where it's hot. So your power's on and then it's off, then it's on. Last thing you want to do is power go out in the middle of somebody's sandbag carry or something dangerous. So
Yeah, you don't
yeah,
want
they
that.
did
You
it.
just you want to take an extra moment and make sure you've got it all set right.
Yeah,
Um,
they did a great job,
Kudos
and
to
I
them.
I think fans, if I could say something to the fans, right? You can't plan for everything, right? You're gonna like, get rain. Like at the show, at the last 105 show, it started like thunder. You could see it on the live stream, like because you did get the live stream going the day too, and the clouds are rolling in, and that's dangerous, dude. Being on a beach in the thunder, not good. Even though you got rubber stall mats, no bueno.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
so you
that's
got to
what
do the
I
best you can, and I know you guys did, and all the athletes want to come back, so the athletes don't have a problem with it. And deep down, if the athletes don't care, you're good, right? I mean, you want to put a show out for the fans, but the motto is athletes first, right?
Absolutely, man. And the people competing are the first ones that have the loudest voice on what should and shouldn't happen and what was and wasn't good. As far as competition circumstances go.
Yeah. One other thing I'd like, and this is more of a high. This is feedback, right? And it doesn't necessarily mean negative, but I was part of this feedback, constructive, right? And I was personally involved in this one. You know where I'm going to go with this. At the '90s show, I will give you this. It was raining. It was later than we expected. You had to get equipment loaded and stuff, right? Because you probably had to pack up the venue that night, not the next day.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
after the show, you had the podium, obviously, right? Because they took their pictures and everything, got their awards. But the rest of us just had no idea where we placed. Like I knew I was top 10 because I was in the gauntlet. But like when the show ends, we kind of want to share with our family. Everybody goes home
Yeah,
pretty
man.
much that night, stays up till 3 in the morning because the adrenaline's high on caffeine and smelling salts. And you want to just blast out, hey, I came in fourth, I came in fifth, I came in 15th. It doesn't matter what place. And the feedback that we had for you in the group chat, because that's one of the best parts about the show too. We have a group chat with all the athletes where we really develop camaraderie. We just let you know, hey man, it would be really nice if we could have those placings as soon as possible, and you took that feedback and ran with it. You got it to us right as the guys. I got to travel. I'll get it to you as fast as I can, which you did. You let us know. I think it was Monday morning. You let us know. That was great. And you said you'll work to alleviate that because now you know how important that is to us, the athletes, right? And I wanted to highlight two things. One, the athletes didn't blast out on social media, right? It's professional strongman league. We carried ourselves as professionals and just did it behind closed doors where it should be done. And you took the feedback, answered all of our questions in the group chat, and you did what you said you were gonna do. You got us the scores pretty quickly, as quickly as
Yeah.
you could.
Communication is big, man.
Yep, and yeah, and going forward, I'm sure like that's another thing with the graphics. At the end of the show, you'll have you'll do your best to have all the placings. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, no, for
that
sure.
we can share that with the fans too.
Yeah, no, that's should see that coming up here in what, 5 weeks, I think, first qualifier is. The first iteration of what that should look like. We should be able to see that then.
Yeah,
Uh,
every year you got new graphics. There's always something new. It's awesome. We'll talk about that in a minute. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And it just shows you that you're always willing to put the athletes first. And if we want the fans to be invested in us, we got to give the fans that too. We got to
yeah, man.
give them all the results and everything that we have. So that's enough for like last year. I mean, other than that, dude, last year like the shows are great. I watched the 105 show. I didn't watch all the shows. I told Nick Kine, don't spoil things for me. I want to actually go back and watch the 125s. I never got a chance to watch that show.
That was one of the live stream went off great. Um,
Yeah, so I'm gonna watch that. I'm gonna actually watch that YouTube. I meant to watch it before my interview with him, but it happened rapidly. But because he was talking about one of the events, I'm like, you know what, dude, don't spoil it because I know you won, but I don't know how you. Um, but I watch a lot of the shows. I watch the '80s, and the girls before the '80s. I forget what class 73s, I think, right?
Great, yeah.
Um, and I love watching these shows. They're quick, easily digestible, right? And I love investing in the athletes. Um, what do we got on tap? Don't talk about the rankings or website yet. I'm going to save that for later. But any exciting things that you got for 2026? I know you post about it, but anything you want to say
Right.
verbally?
Uh, what do I not want to spoil?
That's okay.
A
We
lot
don't
of things I
spoil
want
anything.
to say, but yeah, I'll give you this because I'm on here, and I've told less than 5 people this, but part of the investment in all of the camera equipment and live stream stuff is we are the qualifier show in January is the first one. We're gonna see what it looks like, not only to give obviously like professional photos to athletes at the shows, but to see what it looks like to take some videos of athletes and also give that as part of the contest. And I've been very upfront, like what it looks like, if it's possible, what the turnaround time is, just all sorts of things. But that's one thing that I've noticed is, pretty valued by athletes is like also having videos of what they do. Every single show, bar none that I've done, someone's but hey, did anyone get videos of X, Y, and Z?
Yeah.
My gift of this or that. Someone couldn't come with them, or just someone's wife was too excited and forgot to video, or the phone's looking at the sky. All sorts of stuff. So we're gonna look at seeing what that looks like coming up next year. So no promises, but it's definitely
Yep.
something we're putting a lot
That
of
would
effort.
be awesome. And yeah, because I mean, you get the video on the live stream, but it's one angle. It's sometimes far away. Usually the picture is good, but it's not the same as some of these HD cameras right up in your face with the family. One great thing is OSG, like they had the 4 lanes, and in 2 years in a row. One year I was doing the lightest deadlift on the Trump, and because I was banging out reps before anybody else got strapped into the 700, they videoed me the whole time.
Yeah.
But then this year I did was it log no deadlift, and dude, they didn't get any of my deadlifts, and I didn't have my family recording, so not a big deal, dude, right? I didn't do anything special, but with PSL, the live stream's always getting you. But I will say this as an athlete, you at the 105 Baltimore, that the 105 one I did 2 years ago, 2023, three, four, whatever it was. You put the hype reel out after the show, like a couple of days after,
Yeah.
and I was the thumbnail. But it like just those little snippets, dude, of athletes carrying stuff, moving stuff, the epic music. When you
Mm.
make the hype reel, dude, I don't know if other athletes feel this way. I'm like, hell yeah, that's awesome. Like I'm on the reel, especially if it's a viral moment, like Stone, like Meg talked about a scorpion moment, something like that. So
Oh,
yeah, if you guys, I still haven't seen it, dude. She's got to send it to me. I'm gonna put it
we're
into.
not we're not putting that one on a highlight reel. That one should never make like the light of
No,
day as
I
videos.
gotta
That's
see it.
terrifying, bro.
I
Look at
asked
it
her to
and see if
send
she
it to me.
has it, but terrifying.
Yeah, she talked about it, and I'm gonna have her send it to me, and I'm gonna splice it into the video. Even though I don't want to do too much editing, but I'm gonna do it because we joked around about that was one thing we talked about the silhouette, and I said, "Oh well, Meg, do you have a silhouette picked out yet?" And then we joked around, said, "Oh, maybe she'll use the scorpion," but
No,
maybe maybe you
I
won't.
will say that show. Yeah, no, Meg has yet to do a show. I've yet to have Meg at a show that she didn't scare me at least once. Um,
Really?
yeah, three
Yeah,
three for three so far.
yeah.
Uh,
She had choice words for you about the duck walk sandbag event. That I remember watching the girls do that. That was grueling, dude.
That
Like
was one of the
you
most going events of all the shows that I was like, how are we going to test work capacity in a different way, taking advantage of muscle groups and all that? I was like, that's the one right
and
there.
she said, yeah, your drum, the handle's close, and I knew this from experience, but with the short girls, oh man. But in my opinion, I think you should do it to the men. I think you should put the men through something nasty, like a max distance carry, dude. But I
It's
know it's
not,
not the most.
it sounds like none of the events the men did were nasty enough for Dane. They were all a little bit too easy.
I like the deep water conditioning, man, because I can't really press a 300-pound log, or I can't deadlift 700. But I can, dude, I can carry a bag with the best of them. I'll say that. But yeah, no, that would be awesome. Videos like that, and obviously, guys, he said it's going to be a test run, so don't expect the greatest. Don't expect everybody to get on the video, but that'll be really cool. And I know as an athlete, that'll bring tremendous value. You don't have to say too much more. Again, like I said, after the qualifiers and maybe after the European stuff, I'd love to have another quick interview with you, and we could call it the state of PSL or something. Or you might be. You said you're going to be putting some YouTube content out yourself, so maybe you'll be doing a little more of this.
Yeah, but I mean, the more places information is, the better. You know that, right?
Yep,
Um, the more it gets out there in front of people, the better. Plus, me talking to a camera myself and having someone ask me questions are so different. It's not even funny. So
it's
there's
it's
a lot of
easier.
value behind it, man.
Yeah, well, first of all, we're gonna get to the rankings, but I watched it was about a 10-minute rankings introduction video. Dude, you did great. You were great on the camera because I know it's not like your favorite thing to do, but sometimes the organization needs a face, right? And I talked to you about it. Sometimes maybe you got to be the face because like things in an image, people can read it and repost it and read comments, but then sometimes it's nice to have a live stream or something where they can access you and ask questions and you can get it out to
Right.
the masses. And it's easier to articulate things with this. Sometimes people don't have the attention span to watch a story that disappears in 24 hours. But something like this interview, it's going to live on YouTube forever. Maybe somebody will watch it later. Um, but no, that's great. Do you have anything you want or can share about the schedule and locations, like where the shows are going to be going? I know they're not fully announced yet.
Yeah, I mean, some of the ones we've already announced. Obviously got Virginia Beach, and then we have Louisville with home gym con. Super pumped about that, man.
And when is that again? What time of year?
That one's the end of July, like end of May for Virginia Beach, end of July for the 125s at home
Middle of
gym
summer,
con.
Louisville. All right.
Which is cool. And like one of the biggest things, I think I've said this a bunch of times now, but it's like, and I think more and more people are starting to realize like putting a strongman event where people are is a lot better way to draw a crowd. I will give all the credit in the world to different people who have tried and just expended every last bit of energy and left no stone unturned trying how to draw a crowd to the events.
Yeah.
And we just at some point we just have to accept it as a sport right now. We're just not there. 10 years ago, you didn't even have a sign up list. I was just talking to Mike about this. I remember mailing checks. I remember not knowing who I was competing against unless I saw him at a show earlier and remembered him from that. So we just have to accept like we're not there yet. I think there's a world in which we do. But the theme for our shows is where something is already going on, whether it's like a bodybuilding expo, home gym con school, the beach. I mean, you've seen it.
Yeah.
The Virginia Beach like tourism department, they build as 2,500 people an hour that are going by there. And it's probably every bit of that if you were to sit there for an entire hour and clock how many people walk.
Yeah. It's funny you say that because one thing we didn't discuss yet. I'm gonna be down at Baltimore, so I'm doing these interviews. I want to get to know some of the athletes, all that stuff. But I'm gonna be in Baltimore. I'm gonna jump on the microphone. I'm gonna MC the event. I love doing it. I've done a pro am for Strongman Corp. I've done a few strongman meets, local USS stuff. I've done a bunch of powerlifting meets, and I'm really excited to get on the mic and try and work the crowd. I always say like I'm the bridge. The MC is the bridge between the athletes putting on the show and the fans, right? And the fans want to give you some energy,
Right.
but they the fans maybe they're there to see their family and friends, not to see everybody. Like my family's not there to see Tyler Davis, but if Tyler Davis does something epic and throws his arms out to the crowd and screams,
Right. I can
they're going to
remember
give it back. And me as the MC, I'm the channel, I'm the gateway between the two, and I want to pull that energy from the crowd. And what I also want to do, like at Virginia Beach, if I'm coming down there, I'm planning on coming down. We haven't talked about it that much, but I'm planning on making a vacation with the wife. If I'm on the microphone, I want those people who stop and be like, "What's going on?" Like when Nick Hines squatting 620 pounds for reps, I'm going to say, "This is 600 pounds on his back. That's the equivalent of two refrigerators, guys. How many of
it.
you can pick up one refrigerator?" Like you try
Yeah,
and work that
man.
pipeline, get the crowd hooked, and you get them to like, "Hey, you know what? I'm gonna stick around and watch this. I'm not gonna keep walking down the boardwalk."
Oh yeah, no, most definitely, man. I can't wait for that. I think you're going to be, as I've told you, I think you're like a natural for that exact thing. So,
Thank
as
you.
an athlete too. So
I like to have fun as an athlete. We take it very serious. At 90, I was so happy with how I was doing that I decided to start working the crowd. If you remember, I don't know if you saw it because I know you're very busy. Before the last event, everybody's getting all hyped up. And
I
I
missed
asked the woman, I forget her name. I gave her a hug. She's a really nice woman. I've met her 3 or 4 times now, short hair. She was at OSG.
talking about Shannon.
Shannon. Her son was at OSG too. I met her son. I said, oh, hey, can I go out there? She goes, no, you have to wait. You have to stay behind the video wall. I'm like, no, I want to go high five all those kids in the front by the stage. She goes, yeah, go. She goes, go now. And the live stream didn't catch it because the cameras were in front of it. But I went out there and I did the whole wall of high fives
Yeah,
before I went. Like most athletes are trying to like get in the zone. And that's what puts me in the zone, dude. I only need 5 seconds to stare at the bag and get fired up. And I love doing that shit. I wish more guys would, because that's what'll keep the fans there. Like at home gym con, if they're there looking at home gym stuff and they happen to be like, oh wait, there's like an event going on over here. What's going on?
sure there
We're
will. Yeah.
just if we're just doing a 700-pound deadlift and putting it down and going, yeah, walking off, the lift itself is exciting, but you want to put out the energy because you want that back. Get the
Yeah, no,
people pumping.
100%, man. I think it's like I said, I think you're going to be excellent at it.
Awesome. All right. So and then the rest of the schedule will come out later in the year. Selfishly, I can't wait for schedule day because try and plan out your shows and your peaks. And
I
I'm
would
one of
say
the
that the next one we're announcing is yours, is the 90s. Um, that you can almost definitely expect to be middle of August.
middle of August. Nice. That's so it's a little different time than last year was September because I really want to do PSL Masters too, but like if it's 2 weeks away from each other, it's like hard. It's hard to do that. But
What if
selfishly, I hope it works
Masters,
out. But
what if Masters is after the 90s, so you don't have to cut after doing a
that's see,
five? See,
that's better, right? Because not to say one or the other is more important, because like, dude, at Masters, I keep saying this, dude. Masters isn't like a graveyard where strongmen go to die anymore.
oh,
Like, dude, Kip Leitner's legit. Kip Leitner is gonna try and I think if he signs up, he's gonna try and go to the Virginia Beach show. Dude,
yeah, man,
he
Kip,
can
get in
easily
there.
top 10 that show. He is a beast.
Kip is no joke, dude. A lot of these guys, like, it's come a long way really quickly.
Dude,
It's
I
absolute war. It's
yep,
ridiculous.
I watched the show, dude. Nick O'Hare. Nick O'Hare is one of the best 90s in the world, hands down, and he would be right up there at 105, especially 105 Masters.
Yeah, man.
Paul Mwanza hasn't been PSL yet, but if he did, I just went against him.
Come
He's
on, Paul.
yep. Paul, come on over, buddy. He's incredible. My buddy Damon does the Open and
Yeah,
Masters.
man.
So, and then you got a ton of guys. Longbow Dad, Chris Swan, right?
Right.
Another great one. Like him and Leitner came in the top 10 in the Open Masters a few years ago at OSG. So,
Yeah. Yeah, man.
um,
Chris did the 105 opens and he went master or 105s and he did Masters Open. He was like, I'm just started cutting and he did well.
he
Like
did
this
he did
shame he's
fantastic.
pitching behind Dimitar and Daniel Pledger. Like, okay.
Yep, and he can still make 105 if he wants, right?
He wants, man.
So Masters absolutely excites me. I'm just still chasing that glory with the 90s, with the Young Bucks. And you're absolutely right, dude. Like to say Masters was 3 weeks before 90, I would be doing Masters, but I'd be flying out there trying to hit all my meals, still cutting.
Right.
Can't really eat at the show. I'm not going to be in my best that I could be at Masters because I got to focus on 90. And I also might beat the shit out of myself. But if I do 90 first, hopefully I have the show of my life. Then 3 or 4 weeks later, I'll eat food, and that's a side quest. Weird to say that a big PSL show is a side quest, but it's like, hey, I'm just gonna go have fun with the old guys and see how I do. You
Right.
know,
Yeah, no, the word side quest has been thrown out a couple times with the shows and it to each their own. Like I'm not here to tell anyone how their journey goes. It's so far the people over the years that have said something about side quest, the results have probably not been what they've wanted them to be. But
yeah.
um
So that's funny you say that because some people say side quest, and it's like I'm gonna no prep that show and win, and they don't, right? And because they don't know who some of these masters are, right? When I say side quest, I just mean I'm gonna go have fun, kind of like Josh Dodge jumps in a bunch of stuff, right? Not to say anything negative, Josh, but like dude just jumps in everything. He's probably not always at his best. Like I know for a fact he was a little banged up coming into PSL 90, but he still showed up and had fun, right?
does, man. Josh is amazing, dude. He will give it his all no matter what it is. And he goes and flies over to Singapore and crushes over there. I'm like, it's
Right.
impressive,
He's
man.
just he's like the 90 kg John Doyle, and we're all masters, me, John, and Dodgers. John might be jumping in PSL 105. We'll find out.
Come
The
on, John.
signups are coming up soon.
I've been trolling John every time I see him. I was like, come on, man. You say
Yep,
you want to come to the beach. Come
he
on.
was there last year. He wanted to make it. He fell a little short last year.
Yeah.
But because I told him I always tell him, man, like bring your best to the show, but like PSL, he could jump in, not destroy his honorable prep, make it to PSL 105. That's exactly like what I did for Baltimore last year. Like, yeah, go for it, you know. And but when I say side quest, I mean no disrespect. It's not like oh, I'm going to do masters and come in third at side quest podium. It's like, no, I'll go do masters, but I'm probably going to be like seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th. But I'll just go out there and have fun with the boys and do another high level show because
Yeah.
there's only really right now. I could be wrong. You got OSG Masters for 105. You have Arnold, which is a world championship, and PSL Masters. Other than that, I don't think there's any really big Masters 105 shows. That maybe World Ultimates, right? I think they have a Masters class.
Ultimate did, I think they had one time last year. I'd have to double check, but I know they tried it once.
Yeah,
But as far as World Oval shows go, like yeah, that's pretty much it. It's cool to watch it grow over the past couple of years because it not too long ago it really wasn't anything that was happening. So
yeah,
it's cool to watch it grow. And when you have someone like Damon coming in third, like that's a no joke contest. And then right
yeah.
behind him, people forget like Marshall Zen was right behind him. It's just like it's definitely not like a where people go to die kind of thing.
Yeah, Marshall was supposed to be at OSG, and he was one. I was like, man, like, because like last year at OSG, I would have been in fifth, and I'm like, dude, there's some great guys this year, and
Yeah.
Kip and Chris Schwann didn't sign up. I'm like, if I talk about it with Hein, like, I might get better this year. I think I can improve and get stronger and better. I still feel good in my body, and both because I plan on doing PSL and OSG. Right now, I'm locked in again pretty much for 90 kg PSL and 105 OSG with PSL Masters, depending on the date, being right up there. I might do that instead of OSG, right? And but like I might bring my absolute best, and my placing might go down because I think the classes. I think both classes next year are going to be even better. I think what we did this year at 90 and hyping it up, and a lot of the athletes that have talked to me in the DMs, I think more people are going to want to come to that show next year than they did this year. And same with OSG Masters. I think more people want to come to that too.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. It's always cool to watch classes grow across the sport and more people just A, becoming aware. And then I've said this a lot, like athletes that do the shows, you are some of the biggest, you're able to recruit other athletes to the shows better than anyone else. Better than promoters, better than fans, better than articles, better than videos.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know a few people, excuse me, I know a few people at the shows like that have been big champions for the next year, and the next year grew exponentially because of these people. Not because the show didn't get better, but just because those people helped a couple of different guys, like, they might have been on the fence or checking it out, and they're like, hey, come do this. This is a good time. And it
Yeah,
it changed the complexion of the show it was a couple of times.
yeah.
Um, and it matters. As you're an athlete, right? I've competed a bunch. If someone who's done a show comes and tells us like, hey, let's come do this, it's really cool. You got this X, Y, and Z, you're gonna listen to it.
Oh yeah,
Right?
word of mouth is the most powerful. I mean, the only people, like I said, people DM me after the 90 show, hey, where would you do this show compared to this show, right? Not to say any other shows, but I'm like, well, I've never done that other one, but with this one, there was only 15 guys. You're the focal point. We did athlete interviews. Like it's awesome. You're not lost in the. I've done, and I'll say nothing negative about USS. I loved my time doing USS shows, but I've done 69 man classes where you get like one warm up on the axle and they expect you to go out and hit a 275-pound PR. It's just the nature of the beast. They put 600 people in the arena and they want to get that show done in 5 hours. It's a cool experience, but it's completely different than what you get at a PSL championship show. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
It's different for sure, man. But those shows with all the people, they're definitely a different beast, and I commend the people that put those on because it's different. I think what Jacob McBride probably says it best. Like they're just different,
Mm-hmm.
um, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just different strokes for different folks, right?
Yeah, not a good or bad thing. I've talked to friends that prefer like the Virginia Beach show because they want the 2 day 10 event show, or they want a smaller weight class, or even like the ASM type shows, the single weight class show that you it's quicker, right? Like because maybe they don't need 2 hours between events to recover for another lift. They want to be the conditioned fast guy because then they'll do better than the guy who's really a static monster, you know? Because
Yeah.
conditioning reigns supreme. We saw it at 90, not to say names, but like there's a lot of guys who are way statically stronger than me. And as they start to fade a little bit, once we got to that sandbag to shoulder for max reps, people were smoked, and a lot of guys failed the farmer's log after. You got to bring the conditioning to your
Uh,
shows. That's why I love
Yeah, you got to have a capacity to do work for sure. And one of my old mentors, he told me a long time ago, is it was powerlifting, but it carries over to strongman too. You don't have to be the strongest to win. You just have to move the most weight.
Makes sense. Yep. And I'm
Yep.
I'm rarely I'm the poster boy for that. I'm rarely the strongest guy. Not that I've won at this level yet, but I've beaten a lot of men who are much stronger than me on the two. I call it two statics, the overhead and the
Yeah.
deadlift. A lot of guys who came from powerlifting. This isn't powerlifting. If you want
And
the slow one rep max, go to powerlifting. This is an athletic sport.
yeah, and the other part is like there are plenty of people out there that exemplify that you can be incredibly strong and in really good shape and move and do all of the things really, really well. Um, so there's a litany of those people too, and that's where I think I would like to see the sport go more to is like, hey, super well rounded in all aspects.
Mhm.
Um,
And what's great is I mean, for weight class athletes, there's probably never been more opportunity. So sometimes almost like there's too much. For me, I can do masters 90, 105, way too much. But there's an ask for every seat, right? If you don't like the super athletic thing, maybe there's a show that has a max overhead, or maybe there's a show that has two overheads instead of a deadlift and a squat or something. So that was another thing Nick Hines said. Nick Hines said he loves your show because you put a squat in, and not a lot of people put squats in strongman.
he wins the squat every time. Of course, he likes
Of
it.
course he's going to say that, right? You
I,
have
I
some
will say
really
this, man. Nick, the first year Nick beat a prolific squatter in that event. And Nick
was
also
that
beat,
guy from Canada who did
yeah,
a
Big
ton of
Sam.
reps?
Yeah, Big Sam. Nick beat him by a rep.
Yeah, I remember, dude. That guy. Yeah, because it's weird because I everybody knows who Nick Hine is, right? So like, no, Nick Hine didn't sneak up on anybody. But that other guy, I never heard of him. And
Yeah,
that event, man, that dude went to war.
yeah, no, I'm trying to get him back. I was like, we can have the best squat event ever in strongman if you come back. Sam's a good dude, man. You
Yeah.
have to be in tune with Canada a little bit to know who some of these guys are, but Sam's just an absolute freak, dude.
Well, it's funny you say that because later on in the questions, we're going to try and have another greatest event the sport's ever seen. We're going to
Uh,
lobby for it. All right.
I know
So
who
that's
that.
it for schedules. So let's talk about these rankings, dude. Like hot off the press.
Yeah.
It's 11:30. I think you announced it at 6 o'clock.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
watched the video driving to the Celtics game with my wife. I think it's fantastic. I think the athletes think it's fantastic. I made notes. Where the hell did I put my notes? Um, dude, I think when I checked right before we got on, you already had like 82 story shares. I'm not sure how much you check likes and stuff on the gram, but I was looking to see reshares because you had like something like 82 shares. That means either maybe some people are like, "Ooh, what do you guys think about this?" Or people love it. They want people to see it, right?
Yeah.
So maybe we're doing something right. Let's talk about it a little bit because one of the questions was about the rankings, hot off the presses. But give us a quick, brief intro for those who haven't watched your YouTube video yet that you put out earlier.
Yeah, a really quick caveat. I shared that to three people. So whatever that number is, take three off because I sent it to three people
Right. So
specifically
that's
because they
so
told me they
that's
were going to be busy and make sure I send it to them so they don't miss it. So I sent it
uh,
to three people.
oh, and
Um,
I already know one guy while I was at the Celtics game who already checked the ranking because I said, "Oh, I'm curious to see where you are," and he told me, and I'm like, "Oh, it makes total sense because he didn't compete. He didn't compete last year." And I'll let you get into it. I could talk all day. I'll
yeah,
let you
yeah.
go first.
Yeah, some people found it before. I'm learning the whole website thing, and sometimes it takes a little while for them to update. So some people found it before. There's something I need to change
It
on
was
it.
supposed to be tomorrow, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah, that's what I thought.
there's something I needed to change, and it forced me to change it sooner.
Uh,
Um, which it just is what it is, right? It took me a while to find the specific piece of information I was trying to find, but yeah, man, I'd say the rankings. We talked about this as a sport, as a group over like generations for the weight classes. I mean, really in general, Rogue has done a great job with the opens, but and they just started that a couple years ago. But it's like, hey, a ranking system. Like, how do we compare amongst peers? Who's better? Who's not? Whatever. So we took the plunge. We're like, cool. Like we can totally do this in a way that's fair. It's objective, and it's really unbiased.
can I stop you for 1 second? How
Please.
long has your team been working on this, roughly? Like 4 weeks, 6 months,
That's a really, really vague question because it's been a thought that's been kicked around for quite some
for a
time.
long time, right? The
And
reason the reason
then,
I ask is you had a post not too long ago about qualification pathways for 2026, right? And
mm,
there was some comments on it, right? We don't have to get into like any of that crap. But one of my comments was, hey, maybe there should be a ranking system. So this is like, so you don't have to. have any subjectivity between this guy did this show, this guy beat this guy. If there's a ranking, I'm just curious if like my comment and some of the
Uh,
subsequent comments had any weight on that for you, or you were already working on it.
they all help, obviously. Like, if you have an idea and then all of a sudden 10 other people validate that it's a good idea, it sounds like a much better idea all of a sudden.
Sure.
Um, but it's been something being kicked around for a while. It was more there's just so many variables in strongman and so many different things. How do we do it, right? How do we do it in a way that makes sense? Because I'm not really interested in doing something halfway. And by the time we had actually teased it out, it was the core of it was already kind of set. It was more how are we going to like top it off really. But we just decided like, hey, like we're going to start at the world level, competitions that are open to the world, and we chose four. Obviously ours, OSG, Ultimates over in Europe. No American bias there. I know McKeegan will be super proud.
Mhm.
And then the Arnold Amateur, of course, or Pro Am. Those four shows, there's no restriction. They're open to the world. You got to qualify for them, but they're open to the
Yep.
world. Um,
Those are the four shows in weight class because it is weight class, right? You're not doing the open,
yeah,
right?
yeah, the
You're
weight
leaving
class,
that
yeah.
to the road. Those
Yeah,
those are the shows.
yeah. Rogue does a fantastic job with the opens, and I'm not saying we never will. I'm just saying right now, like Rogue does a fantastic job with that. But I don't know that I'd change anything about how Rogue's doing it. So why would I go? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, And we drew a lot of inspiration from some ways Rogue does it. I was just talking to a few people about that, but we chose those. We'll get into the continental kind of shows like OSG Europe and then like country level shows, not necessarily nationals, but like insert country's name here, right? America's Strongest, Scotland's Strongest, France Strongest, whatever. We'll get to those. It's just a relatively large undertaking, so we just got the four world shows right now. And the goal of it, besides the ranking to, compare people to their peers, was to also like acknowledge someone's like body of work, not just a recency bias, and give credit to, being active versus just kind of being here and there. And also, if someone's got to take some time off for whatever, you can get off work or just whatever the reason might be, you don't just get erased because it was only over the course of a year. So
Mhm.
those four shows, goes back over three. It's 12 total shows. It goes back over 2 years. So it's whatever points you earn this year, the annual date of the show, they depreciate by half, then they depreciate by half again, and then
Mhm.
they're just gone at that point. Because which I mean, what you did 3 years ago is kind of hard to translate that to now.
Right. Of course.
But it just gives you like you said, nobody did all 12 shows, and that's fine. That's a lot. That is a lot.
Oh yeah.
But
I don't think anybody could. We're not Mitchell Hooper.
man, I tell you what, there was a
Close.
year.
Tyler maybe. Tyler Davis
Yeah,
maybe
Tyler
does
Davis
a
did
lot.
it one year. He did all of it. I think he won all of it too. But at any
Tyler
rate,
Tyler's got the Tyler Slam. He's never done it in one year, but he's won every major world title now. He's
yeah,
won them all.
um, and there's a couple other people that I think could do it if they so decided to.
I
Um,
think I think so. Yeah.
but yeah, like I said, and it's we wanted to wait. One of the biggest two of the biggest things we wanted to get through is like we're not trying to compare different classes of those shows against others. Like the Arnold 90s against like the OS is like they're all worth the same. They're all world level shows. Like we're not trying to get into that because it just becomes very subjective very quickly. What class at what show is harder or better, and they're just different formats of shows. So they're all weighted the same. This is the first iteration of it, so if we get into this and it really proves to just not make sense, then we're not really opposed to changing it. But as I said in the video a couple times, we're open to feedback,
Mhm.
and I don't want to hear any biasness. And my favorite show is this; it should count for more. You
Yeah.
can keep that to yourself. But
I agree.
like I said, the podium is going to matter. We weighted the podium pretty heavily, so that originally we just had the point system. First place was like 15, and then 14 and 13. And very quickly you do the math, and you're like, oh, if I win two shows as an athlete, and then you go get fifth, and sixth at
Um,
three other shows, right? You're going to come out ahead of me, and that
so
just
this
doesn't.
this was a question on the YouTube. I sniped your YouTube from Strongman Stanley, so we're kind of
Yeah,
answering it
Bobby.
right now because I understand exactly why you weighted it the way you did. You don't want a guy like me doing four shows coming in 10th, and just by being more busy, doing better than say Tyler Davis won two shows but couldn't do the other two. We all know, case in point, at the show, Tyler beat me by 30 points. I am not ranked higher than Tyler Davis. And I say Tyler Davis all the time because I think he's the GOAT. But yeah, continue on, man. This is all great stuff.
Yeah, like I said, so that's how the points kind of came about, and then it's through the top 15. Um, Besides, it would be, part of the goal is to encourage, people to do the shows.
Mhm.
People who might not have done them. Actually, there's a couple people who have kind of said like, "Hey, I wasn't planning on doing show X." since five hours ago. I wasn't planning on doing show X, but because of this, like it's really making me think I should go do it.
Yeah.
Um, and that's cool. And for the record, they weren't talking about our shows; they were talking about other ones, and that's cool.
Mhm.
It's cool to actually help the sport as a whole. Again, not a federation thing, no bias, whatever, just in general. So
Yeah.
that's one go hope. And then the other thing, it was one of the tougher decisions to figure out. Some athletes bounce between classes, some athletes go open, some come back down. And we just made the determination that you get points for the class you compete in. If you
Mhm.
compete as a 90, you get 90 points. If you compete also as a 105 in these shows, you get 105 points. You don't get to combine them,
Yeah, that
right?
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no reason you get 90 points for doing 105, and there's no reason you get 105 points for doing 90.
Yeah.
And opens, it's really cool. There's some amazing opportunities. They're not counting towards the weight classes.
Yeah.
So that's gonna inherently that kind of throws some things up in the air a little bit. And that was the one thing that I was like 90% of it. I'm like, yeah, this checks out. And there's a few things that I was like, I personally wouldn't see it this way. However, it's not really about my feelings. It's about, okay, this is the system, this makes sense, this checks out, is what it is. And somebody else who actually saw it was kind of like, hey, I think that I'm better than this person. And I'm more inclined to say, more often than not, I think you place ahead of that person. However, they stayed in this weight class and did these many things. You bounced all around.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
um,
now, dude, you might be talking me out of my side quest. I might have to find if I want to be a high ranking 90. I might have to do another open 90 show. Let me ask real quick, selfishly, is there any masters ranking there, or is just open weight class right now?
no, I was gonna say there's masters.
All right, cool. So if I do PSL masters and do well, and I do OSG again, and I already did OSG last year, I might be up there. That's awesome.
Yeah, like I said,
Another question, if you don't mind, that nobody's asked this one, but I'm sure people will, so I'll ask it. Doesn't have to be today, but do you see if this ranking thing takes off um, and it's going to be a true ranking system? Will at least you can answer because it's your org, not other orgs yet. Um, if you're in the, I don't know what your placing would be, but if you're in the top 10, does that auto guarantee you an invite to a PSL show, or does the top three? Right now, I know the podium in OSG is invited, or top 10, or the podium is invited to
yeah.
PSL, right? There's other pathways for PSL. Could the ranking system become a pathway in and of itself?
Yeah, someone asked me that too, and my answer was, "What's the point of having rankings if they don't mean something?"
That's
Um,
awesome, dude. That's
and
that's that's probably the most important reason to have them, right?
right, and it's a thing. It's like, yeah, being ranked X will definitely get you invited, but it's not the only way. One of the biggest things we've wanted and we've had, and it's been like, even like Meg coming over all those years ago, even like you, is like we want people who aren't kind of already locked into the top circuit to have a way in, right? There's got to be a way in. Otherwise, it just doesn't make sense. So
Yeah, right. So like say let's say a guy like me that's, I don't see myself on many podiums at these big shows, but if I do one or two and I come in 10th, maybe that gets me into like 13th in the overall rankings or 14th. And maybe that's enough where I didn't get a placing high enough at those shows to qualify for PSL, but maybe, and I don't know if that number's high enough yet, but maybe that number's high enough. That being said, guys, the reason we're doing this podcast mostly do the in-person qualifiers. Online qualifiers are going away. I think
they're not
they should.
they're not happening with us. I can't
And
speak for anyone else, but
yeah, and I don't want to speak to other orgs, but you have people in the middle of summer who like bulk up and want to win the online qualifier. That's their Super Bowl, and then they have no intention of showing up and making weight, and it blocks people like lower ranked people, let's just say, that maybe come in 11th, 12th in the online, and then they are willing and eager and ready to go to that big show. I'll pay the money. I'll do it. I don't care about prize money or nothing, but they're blocked by people who are weighing 280 pounds doing a 105 qualifier.
all
So,
right, let me
guys, the main point here, and I'm passionate about this, is do the local qualifier, right? We're looking at them now, and there's a couple classes where you never want this to be the case, but there might be one or two classes, the women especially right now. If you sign up and just complete the events, you're invited, and it's an easy way to get to your show, and we don't want that, but it's an opportunity, right? If you get there and you bring your best to the show, who knows? Maybe you put your name on the map like I did this year. I got fourth. I had five guys at my qualifier. I got second, and I went to the show and had the show of my life. And people like Nick Hines said, dude, I noticed you at that show. Tyler, said I noticed you. People, the best in the world, guys I look up to, notice little old me. So, guys, I'm going off on a wild tangent, but you have a week left. Sign up for the local shows. If you're a little bit late, message Tyler or the promoter and say, "Hey, I'm sorry I'm late. Can I get in?" Just do it. Take the chance. Um,
You're gonna ask a lot of people. It doesn't hurt to ask me. Like, I'm not gonna get mad. I'm not gonna hold it against you. It doesn't hurt to ask. You're gonna get the honest answer, but you can
Bro,
ask.
you let me in with 7 days notice last year. The only problem was you said you guys. This is another great thing about Tyler, right? And he can't toot his own horn, but I can. Mike Ramirez wasn't doing the show because you honored his qualification from the year before because he got injured, right? He earned his way through chaos or whatever he did. He did the online. He is one of the
He did
best when he's
something.
healthy
Yeah.
in the world, and you honored that invite, so he didn't have to do the qualifier. I said, "Hey, what if I get my buddy Dane to sign up?" And you knew who I was from last year, and you even let me transfer. You didn't even make me pay. You
No.
let Mike's entry money, cover me, which is unheard of because there's no refunds in Strongman. And the only thing you said was, "Hey man, it's too late. I don't have a T-shirt for him." I said, "All right, dude, I'll wear my 2023 shirt, my 2024 shirt." You know. So if you're worried that you're late, message Tyler, and I'm sure you can make something happen, right? And guys, the other thing, and these are things I've talked with Meg and Tyler about. Like I go to the show and I'm in the group chat with Tyler and I'm rubbing it up with Tyler, talking strategy. He's treating me like I'm one of the best strongmen in the world, even though I just made it on a qualifier, right? The guys there, Tyler, the owner of the league, they treated me with like the respect and dignity that a pro strongman or one of the best in the world would deserve, even though I'm not one of the best in the world. I'm creeping my way up, hopefully, but it's just an org where everybody, all the athletes are class. There's no bad eggs. You don't have any of them guys that are jerks in the back. You don't have 50 people in the warm up room. There's so many good things I can say about the show. I don't have to keep saying it because you'll see, dude, in a couple of days, Hein and Tyler and Meg, they said it all for me. So I went off on a wild tangent there. Rankings. Anything else you want to talk about? So that's all great. If there's anything else you want to touch on, I was going to segue that to the website.
Yeah, no, we can hop into the website.
So
Um,
the so the website is that going live tomorrow as part of the rankings too?
it's live now.
It's live now. So guys, it's live now, and tomorrow. Today is Friday night. It's going to be tomorrow. Check out the website. You sent me a sneak peek of the website, dude. It's fucking fantastic, dude. You have, and I should let you talk about it, but he sent me a little intro video that you probably sent to your team. Why don't you explain it? Like some of the things, like the former champions, you can click on it, their picture comes up, all of it. Like if you want to briefly talk about it.
It's funny we're on Zoom. I should screen share. I'm not going to, but it yeah, like it. First of all, big thanks to a guy named Mason Phillips. He has been. I said it in my video too about the website, but it wouldn't have happened without him.
Is he a web designer? Because you did say his name. I don't know who he
Yeah,
is.
yeah. He loves strongman. But yeah, he does coding, he does developing, he works with CRMs. But it not just like did he help with it. I mean, he introduced me to it. I've done some stuff, but he's been more patient with me. When I'm trying to learn something, and you can ask some people I've learned things from, even with you, I was talking about a lecture. I'm asking you a ton of questions. And you were just like, all right, this guy, I'm done with this guy. Email me and I'll get to you. But
I still haven't, dude. It's still pinned
but,
in my email. I just
yeah,
haven't spent
that's
time.
good. We're not in a super rush, but he's been great, man. And his whole thing from the start was let's make this the best website in Strongman. And I was even like, hey, let's be realistic. There's this budget, there's that budget, there's this. He was like, I don't. He basically said, F that. I don't care. We're gonna make the best one, especially for athletes. And I'm like, all right, cool. I can get behind this, right? And obviously we've got some information on there about the shows we've done, the athletes prize money that's been given out. We got some testimonials. You can access our entire YouTube from it, which is cool. Our schedule will live there. And then, I mean, we've just needed a website, first of all, for a while. And my big thing was I don't want to do it half-ass. If I'm going to do it, I want to do it right. And there's several people that are very thankful that I've done a website helping us raise money. Um, but that being said, like you said, we want like we've heard a lot of feedback over the years. I think it's important to like acknowledge athletes' successes and give them kind of like a legacy of their own. And so we created like a winner circle. I'm not really sure why it hasn't been done yet, but like we created a winner circle so you can see who's placed on the podium for each show. You'll be able to click in there and see like a picture of them. You can follow it straight to their Instagram. We got a couple testimonials on the website. The rankings also do live on the website. But you'll be able to basically, it's kind of like website should be, right? It's going to have like everything you at least reasonably want to know basically on the website somewhere. And since Mason has hooked me up with a really cool way to make changes, a layman's person like myself can make most basic changes without having to like contract it out to get someone to do it and it take days. I can just do it in
Oh,
a
that's awesome. Yeah, if you have a cool idea or something. I'll say this from what I saw, I want to check it out. I'm going to check it out tomorrow. I'm doing some editing and stuff. But from what I saw when you sent me the little video, the vibe I kind of got from it, it really makes it feel like a league. Like, and I this thought China just really dawned on me. Like, you have other orgs, they have websites and everything, and there's all sorts of stuff you can find. But it feels like a series of shows, like championships or whatever. And this one feels like it's a league, like it's a running thing. You know what I mean? Um, and it's really cool.
Oh, and I want to say this because I obviously looked at every website organization that I could find and just see what's going on, right? What's the lay of the land? And I can give credit to all of them. Like the Strongman Corporation website, a ton of information on it. You could find anything and everything. The USS website, there's a whole blog on there with different stuff like competition write-ups. What we got official Strongman games. That website is primo. Like everything on there is done really, 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 really well. Um, and then we looked at with Shaw's website. Obviously, that's done extremely well. And was that Giants Live? Either way, like that way, there's so much stuff on there. It's crazy. So there's some really cool websites and a lot of things that we got a lot of inspiration from throughout the process of just looking at what's already there versus trying to recreate
That's
the.
that's cool of you to say that. Like you're shouting out, not to say the competitors, right? Because in my opinion, there's plenty to go around in strongman. It's quality over quantity, and you really do take a athlete's first approach. You care about the athletes, and the rest shines through. But for you to like say that you took stuff from other, because I was just going to ask you, this has spurred another question. Like I watched myself on the live stream from OSG. And like there was some really cool shit that they did. You know what I mean? I didn't watch all of it, so I don't know if there was glitches or anything. But like the picture they said, "Oh, just take a picture." And I did the one where I pointed of if you win a heat. I didn't know what it was really for, and then when I saw the live, I'm like, "Oh, that's badass!" Like
Yeah,
there's me on the corner.
dude,
Like,
yeah, that Strength Tech app. If you
oh,
haven't checked it out, you just gotta check it out.
dude, that took a little bit to get used to at first, but once I did, and I don't like to say names. Iron Podium's great, but like that, it's interactive. You can click drop downs and stuff, and I've gone back to it many times. Like, oh, I wonder if I just did this a little bit better on this event or this, and it is class. I'd like to see some orgs use that, and it's what's nice is the results stay there. I just keep that's a link on my phone. I save it forever.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I think whether it's Strength Tech app or I'm not really sure the availability of that for anyone else to use. I'm truthfully not. It's not mine. But, or just the way that goes, I think, it's something that we've got to figure out too. But just that's the way I think it should be. It's very friendly all around. And it's so much more than just athlete results and stuff. There's so much going on. Of course, me being the like promoter mind and wanted to see all the technology, I poked around at OSG and looked at a lot of it had like heats and times and
Yeah,
just everything. So it's really cool.
and they got it uploaded pretty damn quick. Like they probably got like some official scorekeepers just doing the stuff because like right you finish your event, you go on a few minutes later. It's like, oh cool, I'm in this place or whatever. It's
Live
pretty cool.
updates.
It's
Yeah, it's
funny.
just figure out too.
So like I guess this is that what's great about these type of conversations. These questions just pop into my head. It's like in strongman Hein talked about this, jumping into shows that scare you. Like when he jumped in the 125 show, he's like, well, yeah, I could say I'm punching up and just do it with no stress because it's not a side quest, but like a different challenge where he knows he's might be outgunned and he ended up winning. But like when you pick weights and pick shows that challenge you, they change you, right? It makes you better. Was it Tyler? Tyler said it about max events. If somebody's going for a max, he's rooting for them to get it, and he wants to see people do cool shit because then he wants to push his limits, right? So the athletes keep how many times is like the axle record, the dumbbell record, the deadlift records, they keep going up. And it's like a rising tide floats all ships. I'm going to ask you, is it similar? Like if you see like OSG do something really cool with the live stream, do you go, damn, that was cool. I got to up my game. And then, dude, we keep up in the game and it just keeps getting better and better.
Oh, absolutely, man. Like without a doubt. And I will say, like, you watch OSG and you credit Len, you credit Don, ADL, you see that all over the place. Like as far as I'm concerned, that is pretty much the gold standard of what's going on production wise in the sport. And why wouldn't you look at what you consider the gold standard and be like, damn, I gotta have that. Damn, I want to do that.
Yeah.
And to be fair, like, for the most part, when I've reached out to ask questions to people, like some been incredibly helpful, like Don, like, Lynn's never told me no. And just like, hey, here it is. So some people definitely have the same attitude, right? Like at the end of the day, we all want to do well, right? At the
Mhm.
end of like, different people have different reasons for it, but like at the end of the day, it's strongman. And if you do something good for strongman, I'm gonna support you. If you make strongman look stupid, from athletes to fans to anybody, right? And I've also done things that have made strongman look stupid. I'm not, we all have,
Nobody's
but
perfect.
yeah, that's not what we want, right? And so it's like, hey, try to fix that. Like, do better there. So as long as I said, it's yeah, like I want everyone else to do well because at the end of the day, the better strongman does, the better we all do. The better
Yes.
athletes do, the better we all do, the better organizations do. Like it's just it's not the most common. I've definitely heard some different takes on this, and everyone's entitled to their own opinion. But this show being the only one, or we don't need any more, or whatever the case might be. But if you're doing something for athletes that's really good, and you're making strongman look good, then I really want you to do well, and I'm more than happy to also help any way that I can. That's different levels for different people based on geographic locations, schedules.
Mhm.
Like I said, I've offered. It's funny. I've offered several places. Hey, I will take the laser timers to your show, and we'll both win because you'll have laser timers at a local show, and I get to practice more on them and figure more things
Yeah.
out.
We brought that up, Meg and I, about the bag carry because there was like it. We'll save it for the YouTube, but there was like 7 or 8 girls separated by a half a second. So that either the distance is too short or the bags are too light. And what I said is, and can't say anything about negative about judges, right? They're volunteer based, but like it's very easy to have a stopwatch error. Like a zero point 0.5 of a second is like, maybe you didn't see the bag hit or something. And I said, oh man, would have been nice if they had some laser timers, right? And that's not a slight on OSG, but it's like that's one cool thing that PSL is doing. Um,
Oh, I'll give Lennox credit. I know he wants it. I've talked to him about it. Actually, we'll talk side quest. We'll just make that a trigger word for this conversation
yeah,
to figure something out to take back to him. But hey, this is how this is done. What you like, and I'll let him say what he does or doesn't want. Like, and if he ever goes that route or not, it's totally up to him. But it's like, I was like, cool, I'm gonna test this out because you said this is what you're looking for, and this is one of the holdups. So let me go figure that out.
mm-hmm.
And sure enough, I got to explain something at the beginning of the year. But hey, this is how that's done. And not just OSG, but any show, like, there's the human error of the stopwatch, and which pretty all unintentional. I don't think there's any judge out there trying to screw people over.
I think
But
the only other one, and a lot of people don't like it, but the button, right? It's a pain if you have to hit your own button because like people forget, but it's on the athlete, it's not on the judge. So if you have 4 people in a lane, you
we
hear the start whistle goes off at the same time for everybody. It's on you, the athlete, to hit the button, not the judge. And if you forget, it's on you. So that's another one that is
Mm.
maybe it's the future of the sport because stopwatch. I've seen judges at local shows. You do a carry and drag, and then it's like the athlete finishes, and the judge goes, "Oh shit, I forgot to hit the stopwatch." Like
Yeah.
like totally forgot. Like 32 seconds. Like
Well, it's the other things like is it that, but then it's like I've watched judges at many shows have different vantage points for the end line. Someone's like sitting in a chair and the end line's like over here. And I'm like, well, that's not the same as the person standing on the end line in the other lane judging this thing, right?
yeah,
So it eliminates all of that. And we tried buttons. I think you actually got to hit one. But
I did at Baltimore. Yep.
yeah, and we learned that the technology to get all the buttons go more than one going at one time, it's a little bit bigger of an investment than we realized because they interfere a lot with signaling. But also, you guys are rough on the buttons. Um,
Yep.
like,
They're micro switch. I'm an electrician, dude. It's a micro switch. You just have to give it a
yeah.
tap, but you're excited, dude.
Yeah, bro, you can't expect someone at the end of their run to just all of a sudden throttle all the way back. There's a federation over in Europe that does it, and I think it's confetti or sparks come out at the end. I forget which one it is, but it's really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just something like we could like try to mess with the buttons, but at the same time, the lasers serve the exact same purpose.
Yeah, no, the lasers work. I forget what event. I think there was one that like you could walk the yoke through the laser beam, but I think there was one event where you had to put the implement down, or it was like a drag. You had to get up and run through the laser. I forget, but that's even fine. It's just one extra step. Well, if every athlete has the same step, It's fair. You just have to remember to do it. Listen in the
Yeah,
rules
we
meeting.
had people run it outside of the gates, and then in this offseason, I figured out how you don't have to do it anymore.
There's ways around it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you just got to figure, like I said, just got to, as the laser timing company tells us, there's no precedent for what we're doing.
Yep.
Actually, we're making the playbook to follow, and
Yeah.
that should for this year be really
If
solidified.
if
So,
you and it's tough because you can't. Nobody's perfect, right? It's tough to pick the perfect weight matrix for every weight class because with the women at OSG, they 8 people were separated by a half a second. In my class, first, second, and third, Paul beat me by 7 seconds, and I beat Damon by 17 seconds.
right, you don't
So
know
there
if we
was
can figure that one out.
no, dude. Even if somebody has a 1 second error on the stopwatch, no big deal, bro. But
Yeah.
it's
There was
it's
this at our show. Actually, Meg was part of this. Her and Tony had a event. Actually, showed Tyler when it happened because he was just standing there, like as a good coach husband does, to see the time to get whatever information he's trying to get. But I was like, look, right here, this was laser time. It was like point, I forget, it's like point like one. It was a very razor thin margin, which wound up actually having them tie for first place into a tiebreaker. But without that, depending on someone hitting it slower or faster, would have completely changed first and second place.
right.
So, but nobody questioned it because it was just the lasers and there was zero ifs, ands, or buts about it. So,
Yeah,
from an
that's good.
athlete standpoint, from a promoter standpoint, from prize money, it's just all around. I said it last year. I'm going to double down on it this year. If you're doing a show with prize money, and especially like smaller ones, um, there's no reason not to have something like this. I'm happy, and I don't care who it is. I'm literally happy to help. Let me do all the make all the mistakes, and I've made stupid ones all year with these things to show you exactly how not to do it. And like you said, I don't care who it is. You got to reach out and ask. I've told that I'm kind of tired of trying to force it down people's throats. We're gonna do it.
Yeah.
Uh, plain and simple, but happy to help. In any way we can with that. But there's just and the like I said, man, there's a bunch of laser timers out there. So the quality of them, we got Vault, which worldwide just well renowned. I mean, they work with combines of 1,500 people, and they don't mess up. Like, so we've heard some people say this might be too big of a show, or there's 100 people here. What do you think? Like, these things come from a much bigger world than we live in, and they work just fine with productions of events that are worth millions and millions of dollars. If they're trusted there, we can
Mhm.
trust them here. They work as
Yeah,
long.
and it's cool. You have the qualifiers. You've been. I know, like I've done too, where you're testing stuff out, trying to perfect it before you bring it to the big show, which is really cool. Not that the qualifier athletes don't deserve the best treatment, but you got to test it somewhere, right? And that's a
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
spot to do it. Better
Well,
than doing it. Better than it affecting a world championship. Um,
Well, but the flip side of that, and I've told people this, is like what like you get to do a qualifier that has a lot of the same stuff as the championship show.
yeah,
And sometimes you get to do a qualifier that has more because we learned after that it's not really scalable and we're not doing that again. So good for you. You got to do it.
yeah,
Um, so it's not just like a throwaway, but it's also like, hey, you also get to you do a qualifier. Tell me what other show you go to that you're going to get to do certain events certain ways with laser times and all that stuff. Like, you're just probably
mhm.
not. So
The video walls are here to stay, right?
absolutely. Yeah.
One feedback for that dude. I remember when everybody was getting like smoked by the keg. Keg's one of those implements, dude. It could go backwards and do this, dude. It could have taken out the whole bottom row of your LEDs. I was like, hey, you might want to get a back spotter for that. So you might want to put some bumpers in front of the video walls next year.
Yeah, there's a couple of things, not having it suspended in the air, definitely introduces just some variables that we've got to consider.
Yeah, just keep an eye on it. Have one guy spotting that. That's all.
Yeah, it just looks like crap when you have a bunch of people standing back there.
Yeah,
But
yeah, in the way
like I
of it.
said,
Yeah,
there's a couple of things we've talked about, and I think I have a pretty good idea. Um, they are really durable. I don't know that they're 300-pound keg durable.
yeah.
Um,
That keg was nasty.
But I forget how much it weighed, but like I said, there's definitely a few things, and there's ways to put them slightly off the ground so the keg can go hit the stand and not the screens, and it'll be just fine. Uh,
Right.
the worst case scenario, and it'll be our fault, is the keg goes and hits a panel or two on the screen and takes out like a small part of the bottom, and then
Yeah, as long
we
as
have
the rest of the visual is up, you're good, right? And it doesn't
yeah,
fall
like
and hit somebody or something.
we're not trying to do that because they're a pain in the ass to replace. But like we have a ton of spare parts. Like they're a pain. We're not trying that. But like that's the end of the day. It's like the worst the worst case scenario. And just like any other equipment, like there's no sense to hurt yourself trying to protect equipment.
Right.
tear your shoulder apart because you don't want your keg to run into the video wall. Let the damn keg go, right?
Yeah,
Same thing with any other thing. Yo, why'd you hold on to that? I don't want to drag your dumbbell and bend it. No, no, let that go. Like,
yeah,
well, if you develop a habit of breaking things because you're trying to hurt yourself, that's a different conversation.
yeah. If you're slamming stuff to the ground or something, it's like, hey man, respect the equipment a little bit.
Yeah,
But
no, the walls
um,
are coming back in a big way with I'm really excited about that and what different setups we kind of already have mocked up for different shows.
yeah,
It should be pretty epic.
awesome. Looking forward to it. One idea I had, and I know that things sometimes need to be tested, and then you also want to have consistency, right? I'm going to MC a couple shows. I'd love to do them all. I don't just can't fit it in my travel schedule. Maybe get somebody else to MC some of the other stuff. Maybe me do some. But I was wondering, like, because this is one thing I've noticed on when we talked about live streams, right? And up in the bar, um, some live streams in between events, there's a long setup time and they just play ads from the sponsors, which is very important to do, right? You could do, but when you do 30, 40, 50 minutes of it, the YouTube comments are, hey, when's the next event start? When's the next event start, right? Get impatient, they leave. I think what PSL did this year, you have some commentary like with CJ and the team, or I think it used to be Jen Bates. And then I think if I remember watching my live stream, you just put the camera on the athletes warming up because you let us warm up on the stage, which is also awesome because we get to touch the implements. And some organizations don't let you touch the equipment; you have to warm up in the back. So there's something always going on your live stream. And I was wondering maybe if we could pull it off with the live stream company, I could do some interviews in between. Like I walked around with my phone at PSL and I'm like interviewing guys for my story. I could do
Yeah.
that with the mic at the qualifier or whatever and just kind of keep the live stream going, maybe give the commentators a break and I'll keep going and like giving the athletes a little, hey, boy, how are you excited about this event? They're like, nah, Dan, I got to warm up, leave me alone or something. But, keep the audience engaged so that they are watching maybe the ads at the bottom from the sponsors or whatever you got going on.
Yeah, no, I'm always open to that conversation. And then like the show in Roanoke, like that was totally a Don idea to put the camera on the athletes. And,
Dude, I loved it. I loved it. I watched it.
and
I
because
watched
between
warm
a
ups.
little bit between a little bit of commentary, between the athlete interviews we did that we played on the screens, and then a little bit of the action like warming up, there wasn't a lot of dead time. And
Yeah.
that's ultimately the goal. Like we're not gonna have 50-minute resets, but like
Yep.
nope. You tell someone to sit there for 20 minutes and watch nothing, then yeah, I'm gonna get up and go somewhere.
Yeah.
Like and so I don't expect people to do that. We want to keep people engaged.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so actually it's been a little bit of a conversation of like what do we do in that time on the
Yeah, because like there's people who tune in live, right? And then I've tuned in live to some, and sometimes I can't, right? I'm busy that day, and I'll stay off Instagram. I'll be in group chats. I'm like, don't text me. I don't want to know what happened. But then I'll just fast forward after the event. If I don't see an interview or something, I'm fast forward to the next event. Then I can watch a 3 hour show in an hour and 5 minutes. But yeah, I always just spitballing ideas. Before we get into questions, I wanted to talk one more time about the 82 reshares you had, right? And it shows that your athletes, dude, that's probably 82 athletes and judges and guys like Greg Popejoy, coaches, right? Great guy that are resharing and hyping up the league because they believe in it and they love what you do and they're for the athletes, right? I just want to say something to the athletes that are listening, guys. When you repost the league, tag the league, the algorithm, right? Tyler will take all your stories. You want a spam. When I try and do charity work for puppies and shit, I try to get people to tag me because I want 50 stories of people making donations. And then maybe other people are like, wow, this is a really good story. I want to get in on it. And maybe people look on your story like, holy shit, look at all these athletes. They don't see the 82 with the arrow on Instagram, but when they look at your stories and they just see repost, 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 like, wait a minute,
going on.
82 people in 2 hours, like this ranking system, like what is this? Maybe I do want to do this PSL. Maybe I want to get involved in this. So tag the league. Worst case scenario, Tyler might be busy and not repost you, but tag the league. It goes further. It pushes the algorithm, it gets more eyes on the sport.
Yeah, I genuinely try to repost almost everything that we get tagged in. There's
Mm-hmm.
some there's some stuff that might not be the most professional. We're not resharing that, and
Of course.
there's a few things we probably won't reshare, but for the most part, try to reshare everything.
I fallen victim to that, dude. My buddy tagged me in something funny, and I didn't really pay attention that closely to it. I just reposted it because he tagged me, and my wife was like, "Dude, that's really rude." That like it was something about overweight people not hitting the gym, and I'm like, holy shit, like that is rude. Like I think it's funny, but like I wouldn't repost it. Like I don't share my political views on Instagram. So yeah, you got to watch out what you repost. But guys, and then in the grand scheme of things, it's weird to get on here and talk about like this, but it's a good place to do it. Like if you repost the org, right? There's more eyes on the org. Maybe there's more sponsors. Maybe there's more money. Maybe there's more prize money, which is a factor that some people like to do shows, right? With like the charity stuff, you've posted a few charity partners, right? And I
Yeah.
know it's happened once or twice over the past couple years. It happens. Everybody gets scrolling blindness, right? Where they don't see things that are maybe a little more important than random stuff. And I was like, oh man, like there's nobody donated to this charity. This is a great cause. Like, so I post it and I'll put a blurb saying, guys, this has been on for 3 months. Nobody's donated. What's going on? Next thing you know, guys come out of the woodwork. Jacob McBride donated $100 to the Canine for veterans. I think Charlie Dower did. A bunch of my friends up here. Next thing you know, in 3 hours, we raised $500
Yeah,
because
man.
like
They're amazing.
the org can't be vocal, right? But us athletes can. And here's the thing, guys, where I think outside the box, somebody might see that. Some sponsor, some big sponsor might see, wow, their organization had 15 athletes, 20, 30 athletes raise $1,000 for veterans or for a great cause, homeless people, whatever it might be. And they'll say, that's an organization I want to get behind. Let me pump some sponsor dollars into there because the athletes are good people, you know? So there's things to think about when you just do a repost, you know? Tag the league, guys. Start with that. Let's
Yeah.
do some questions, Tyler. Is there anything else you wanted to touch on in general before we get into the questions from the athletes and fans? Well,
Uh,
I only got a handful of them. We'll shoot through them pretty quickly.
yeah, no, let's we'll hop into the questions. I'm sure there's something, but it's not on my mind at the moment. So yeah, so start with some questions. I'm sure there's some good ones in there.
All right, let's see. Where do we start? All right, let's start with Gavin Bell, Strongman 1999. He asked, and this is on the Instagram. If you want to take the short answer, how to qualify if you can't make it to one of the qualifying shows?
Yeah, this is a question we get relatively frequently. It is on the Instagram, but I have no problem answering it either. It's like, cool, there's the in-person qualify. At this juncture, a lot of the qualifying routes are done. They're spoken for, but like the in-person qualifiers, I know there's some confusion. The Arnold, we will be looking at that. Um, Gavin, I'm pretty sure is in America, like the European show, of course, we'll pull from that. That's about it for qualifiers for the 2026 season. And if you happen to find yourself in the rankings at the top somewhere, then or in the rankings, you'll also get an invite. But that's pretty much it for Americans at this point to be able to do it.
And that's another segue question, which I didn't have here. My question came up with Tyler Davis. I think I've talked with people about it in the past, right? You there could be a ranking system and then all these pathways, right? And if everybody who qualified signed up, you got a 50-person show, and then it becomes something that PSL really wasn't, where you want to focus and keep it small and concise and focus on the best of the best. Now, obviously, if everybody earned it, if those are the pathways, you're going to honor it and let 50 people compete, right? But ideally, what's the ideal number for you? And obviously, if you have literally the top 15 in your ranking system sign up, that's a perfect show, right? But is it 15? Is it 20? Is it 30? Is it 10?
Yeah, I've gone back and forth on this a lot over the years. Like it used to be like 15 to 20 of like top solid people. I think it honestly at this point it varies by the class. Some classes are deeper than others. There's more people, there's more people at the top, there's less of a drop off somewhere. So it really does
I think
depend
what
on
105 is a class like that. I don't know enough about the women's class, but 105, that's a deep class, dude. Like your show last year, man, that was deep.
yeah, I mean at 105s you could have 20 world beaters and 10 other guys that aren't even there that would fit in that same category.
Yep.
There's class, all the classes have a certain depth to them. It's not a knock on anything. But it's just like where does it stop being the best and then some newcomers, right? Like that's kind of where it is. But I think every class could reasonably have like 12 to 15 for sure,
Mm.
up to 20, and then maybe some more for other ones. And then, man, there's always going to be a couple of like spot like that's. I have no problem telling. There's some special invites every year.
Mm.
Jeff Laney was a special invite to the 105 show.
Well deserved. Yeah.
The,
I'm
the
sure.
dude,
I'm sure if John Hack called and wanted to do the show, I mean,
John's
he basically just missed podium at OSG if it wasn't for the wrecking ball.
John's
That guy, in my opinion, would deserve an invite. Might
Yeah,
might hurt some feelings, but dude. the
I don't know.
guys.
If John wants to do the show, John's in. Actually, the people that I know that have talked to John have told him that you're in. If you want in, you're
Yeah.
in. There's
Now,
a few. It's not. This isn't an open invite to just flood the inbox with a bunch of, you know, 50 people trying to be like, hey, here's my X lift. It's like
yeah,
it could be something pretty extraordinary to make that
right.
happen. Definitely any
And
absolute.
if you, I know Meg was an alternate, so maybe, and I'm just spitballing here, maybe there's a pathway, and it would be maybe last minute. But like if you have a lot of guys pull out due to injury or something, and the roster is not, if you only have 10 guys and you would like 15 or 16, maybe you go down the ranking system or something, or you have a few more of those special invites, right? Maybe
That or it's kind of like
circumstantially,
yeah, like we've done this before too. It's like Meg was like she did not finish first at the show that she got invited from. Person that finished first, I forget she's second or third, but like she like she the person said no, they can't make it. All right, cool. We'll go down the list. Ask that person, hey, who's next? I think that she might have been third, but it was just like, hey, who's next? Like, is it? And by the way, is this person like was this like a close battle or was this like where that drop
right?
off is? And ask the promoter, ask the athletes, like just get an idea, especially different places in the world. I got people now. I know enough people throughout the world that I trust to be very much unbiased and tell me the deal before
Yeah,
doing something dumb. But yeah, like I said, stuff like that'll happen. We'll pull from alternates. Yeah, like I mean, the goal is again, like I think every class could, but we'll have at least 12 to 15 very solid competitors,
sure.
people that add to the show, all of that for sure.
Yeah, and that drop off you speak of, it's a real thing. I'll fall on my shield. I was a drop off guy, right? You had Tyler Davis, Victor Liegman, like head and shoulders. Caston's up there. Caston's beat me by 8 points. So then it was me in the grouping of like Pinkerton. No, sorry, not me. Coach Adam. Sorry, Jesus. Connor
Connor.
Smith, Connor Smith, Pinkerton, Lewis Bolton. But the top of the class was like so. Like it's like, hey, Tyler and Victor can't show up. I came in fourth. It's like, yeah, but Dane, like those guys beat you by 25 points. Like, but that's, let's call a spade, right? So, but that's great that you would consider it. Doesn't mean flood his DMs, guys, Gavin. Um, so it is okay to
For
earn
the
it. I
record,
like not having the online qualifier.
yeah, for the record, I think Gavin's a great dude, and I would love for him to find his way to a show one of these days.
Yeah. Well, dude, 2 years in a row. This year you added the Midwest, and it's been 2 years in a row, now 3 years that you've had an East Coast and a West Coast. Participation, like 105 at the East Coast last year was huge. I think there was 15 guys. I think there was 15 guys the year I did it, right? And then some classes just don't get the participation. You don't want to say it's an easy pathway, but sign up, see what happens, guys. You got to do it, right? And then maybe you do good enough that you're invited back, like I am, and I'm forever grateful. I hope to earn it again, and then maybe I'll stay 90 forever. All right, I'm going to call this guy. He asked 4 questions. My co-host for the day, my honorary co-host, that was Hannah Coldiron yesterday. Sky Olson, world's strongest banker. Sky's one
Sky.
of the guys I'm going to be interviewing because he's been to the championship show, didn't quite place high enough, and now he's earning his way back. He's doing a qualifier in a couple weeks, so I'm getting on the interview with him on Monday, 2 days from now. Let's see. He's got a few questions. First of all, is Tyler coming to the Midwest show, Midwest qualifier?
Yep.
All right, Tyler will be there. Um, any any idea who's judging? I need to know how much bribe money to bring.
A lot because his name's Chad Coy.
Yeah, you're.
You think you're the banker, you're gonna have to back up the Brinks
Yeah,
truck.
I hope all that training under Burley pays off, Sky, because yeah, there's not enough money for Chad. I've heard good things about Chad. This one, I'm not sure 100% what he means, but we can workshop it. What caused the change in the events? I like the new ones better, but I'm just curious. Is he speaking
Uh,
about the qualifier?
that some of the events change, and really, it's just to make guys like Sky and Pinkerton ask questions. No, like part of it was a venue change first and foremost. Um, and second of all, there's some things that we talked about this earlier. There's some things we want to test for 2026, and that's a perfect time to do it. We did not change like any real disciplines. Like the log press went from two different logs to one, same amount of reps. Like it's not like these weren't like astronomical changes, and even if they were big, like they're still 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks out. Um, but I'll just do it on the log one. It was like there was like two logs, one was heavy, one was light. You had to do two and two, you had to do 4 reps. And we just changed it to a log that literally split the difference. You got to do 4 reps and you got to run through a laser to finish. We're going to be focusing a lot more on laser timed most everything this coming year. And straight up, I mean, CrossFit runs through lasers all the time. and no one ever seems to have a problem with the finish times.
Yeah, that's actually that class. I think right now out of all the classes, could be the most competitive. Well, it is. You've got Sky, who's looking really good, and then you've got Pinkerton, right? Who's never count him out, coming up to 105, and then Christian Case, 90 kg OSG guy, one of Heinz guys. He's very good. He's coming up. You know,
There's a couple of people. There's a guy who's gonna do that show that might
is it Kip? Because Kip's been talking to me. Is it Kip?
Kip better do it.
Oh, all right. So then there's a guy, and there might be Kip.
Hey, look, Kip's not on the score sheet yet, so Kip might not be doing it.
Yep.
Um,
No, I
Kip
think
should do it.
Kip's talking about it.
Um, would love to see Kip there. And like I said, there's another couple of guys. I mean, some guys that live in the Midwest that just want to do a show. They want to feel it out. They want to see what this whole laser thing is like. So that class stands to
Yeah.
get significantly more competitive.
I know, and I don't know all the names in California, but CJ Pierce is in again. He dominated. Was it last year? Didn't he hit like 13 reps with the axle or the log, whatever it was? So what I hope for CJ, because CJ's another guy who agreed to come on. I just got to schedule it. I hope he's a guy that, and CJ, if you watch this, I hope I don't say this, and that's not a negative thing. He'll do like a few shows. He just does shows that he wants to do. He doesn't go to OSG every year just because it's the biggest. He doesn't go to PSL. He just like does some shows, and like a lot of us talk up here, like, dude, he is like one of the best strongmen, hands down, across any weight class. He won USS Open at like 220 pounds, but he just doesn't do the shows. Like, we want to see you, CJ. We want to see you at PSL going against Tyler Davis. We want to see you at the 105 in the beach and see what you can do against these guys, because you're incredible, dude. So I hope you do the qualifier, and I hope you make it to Virginia Beach, dude. And by make it, I mean I hope you get there. Go.
I'd
I hope
love
you
to see
actually come.
CJ. I told CJ too. I'd love to see him. He's first of all, it's not fair how nice he is and how strong he is. Let's just get that out of the way right now. It's
Yep.
not fair. But I've talked to CJ over the years. Like sometimes it's work, sometimes I mean, he's got a really good head on his shoulders, man. There was one time he was like, "It's either come do this show or basically go on vacation with my wife, and I'm gonna choose to go on
Yeah.
vacation with my wife."
I knew a little bit of that through mutual
Oh,
friends. And yeah, he's just a good guy.
yeah, absolutely. And he does shows that he finds fun. He's like, if I'm not gonna have fun, why would I do it?
He's a guy that he used to coach my friend. I found out who he was, seen him do incredible shit, followed him for years now. Never met him, but I've slid into his DMs from time to time. He's replied to me with audio files, like 3 or 4 minutes of his time, because he's way up here at the level where I wasn't. And then when they did the America's Strongest State, they needed to raise money. I bought one of his shirts, dude. And like showed support that way. Like the camaraderie you get from the sport. It's unrivaled.
Yeah.
So yeah, CJ, please show up. Let's
Any show
see.
in the world would be glad to have CJ Pierce show up and compete.
Of course, of course. Yeah. So all right, let's go with Mike Ramirez. I'm trying to piece these in an order that I like. Long-term vision for PSL from promotion perspective, athlete perspective, and possibly fan perspective.
That's a
Let's
that's a
workshop it. So
that's a
long-term
big
vision.
question.
What's the vision? All right, so let me put it this way. I'll change it. Where do you see PSL in 5 years?
Yeah, this is an ever evolving question. It's ironic. I get asked this question a lot by fans, athletes, promoters, different people, and I would very much, and we've had conversations about this as a team and the growth we're trying to make next year, is because at the end of the day it does have to be run as a business, but like I would love to see it be in a place in 5 years is a lot of time. And a lot, like I always feel like I'm selling things short when I set 5 year goals. I actually normally don't, but 5 years is the prompt here. So, I would love for it to be in a place to actually be able to, pay for athletes' hotels, pay to have people travel in, pay more, have bigger crowds, get to bigger venues, um, and do some really cool production stuff that I think can happen before 5 years. So we're gonna keep it there. For athletes, would be really cool to have again less to no costs. We keep whittling down that little by little again in a sustainable way.
Mhm.
Um, and then also like actually, a lot of people have been able to experience either playing professional sports, like high level college, like to be able to experience that in all the ways versus just some of the ways we can make it happen would be really cool. And then to have be in a position to where there are big crowds, whether that's again at other places where the crowds just kind of grow,
Mhm.
or whether Strongman finds itself in a place that it can start to draw crowds of hundreds or thousands. And the goal is also going to be to build like individual athletes up. At the end of the day, athletes being more successful will make any organization more successful.
Sure. Yeah.
And also, it's just isn't that kind of the point of what we're doing as promoters is to help athletes become better athletes, better coaches, better representations of the sport, better for themselves, build their brands. Isn't that we're kind of part of what we're supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
Um, so that would be cool too to
And
start
then
to
one hand will take care of the other. Like I said earlier, the rising tide floats all ships, right? If the athletes are better in quality and putting on a show, the promotion gets better, the live stream is better, it's more interesting. We can build personalities. Not saying we want to be WWF, but um, you know,
if you just have a bigger brand. I mean, we talked about John Hack earlier. It's a massive brand, right?
right.
Like,
And
you
that's
know,
powerlifting, which it's weird how powerlifting it just has a lot more fans and it's just three lifts. I'm not saying it's boring. It's epic when you see somebody break world records. But when people aren't breaking world records, it's cool to see somebody squat and like suffer and like, oh wow, they did it. But like strongman, there's just so many different variables that make it much more visually appealing. If I could sum up everything you just said, I would almost say like it's almost like if strongman PSL could break into the mainstream, into the cognitive um, visualization of the mainstream people. Like if it's more, like you said, if it's at festivals where you get more eyes, maybe it gets on TV on a sports channel or something. Like World's Strongest Man's on TV. Okay, kind of cool.
yeah,
Although live stream's really the future more than TV, but you know,
a little bit. There's different things there. Um,
people don't scroll anymore on TV. Like I found Pujanowski by scrolling through cartoons, and then I hit ESPN, and there's a dude, like I said, carrying refrigerators or something. I'm like, whoa, this is awesome. They don't do it anymore. They go on YouTube, and you got to see what the algorithm's pushing to them.
yeah, no, YouTuber. I mean, look at how most people consume quote unquote TV now. It's through a streaming service.
Yep. Hopefully, so yeah, I guess what you could say. I go on YouTube the other day because on one of my YouTubes, I just always go on as a guest because I get a good algorithm that pushes me stuff I like. And I wanted to watch a Pro Strongman League show, so I typed PRO space ST. When I got to the R, Pro Strongman League came up, right? Because I think it was Pro Stock Racing first. Like, let's get to a
Oh,
place where you type in Pro and bam, Pro Strongman League comes up first. Not
yeah,
Pro Bull Riding.
yeah. And the one thing I've said that some people feel good about, some people don't, is I'm like, you can tell how not big strongman is in the mainstream because every time we make the mainstream, they call us freaking powerlifters.
Yeah.
They don't even know the sport. Now, granted, sometimes it is strongman, but by far and large, when it makes it out to the mainstream, like a lot of times it's like, oh, the power lifter. Or when we're out talking to people, it's like, oh, you do the powerlifting. Very rarely does someone go, oh, do you do that strongman thing? And it's one of those weird litmus tests where it's like, clearly we have a lot to go
Yeah.
because we can't even get the sport kind of like in their head enough to make that the option that they say. Um, Obviously we all correct people like, yeah, no, it's strong man, where they pick up the world's strongest man, right? That like cues most people right back to what it actually is.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, we have a lot of ground to cover, and it's going to take the sport to do that. I don't really think that one organization is going to be able to.
It's going to take a village. It's going to take all of us, dude. And you're on the right track with some of your champions like Tyler and Meg who are putting in work and are really good champions for the cause and great ambassadors of the sport. All right, I got three more questions. One of them I'm going to combine into one. So two more questions. We're at like 2 hours, a little over 2 hours already. It's crazy. It's like Joe Rogan style, but it went by like super quick, dude.
Right.
So let's do this one first. I teased trying to bring a big event to 90. So there's two questions. One of them pertains to 90. So I'm going to combine them first before you answer, and
Mhm.
I'm gonna also interject and then let you talk. Um, Sky asks, since there's a limited athletes in non 105 classes, why not throw out a world record event? Which I know you've done for Record Breaker series, right? But not in some of the actual 5 or 6 event shows. And then Mike Ramirez, you probably knew this was coming. He asked for a max deadlift at 90 kg World Championship, so in September, August, right? And then in spitballing with some friends, think about that one, right? I know we don't do a lot of maxes, but let me set the scene for you. PSL 90 in August, I think you said. Max deadlift, event one, suits allowed. You got Mike Ramirez. You got CJ Kraus going for American records, amongst other guys. I'm sure Tyler Davis is a striking range. We get Dan Benson to come over, who just missed what, 920? I know he can do 400 kgs. We get Dan Benson to come over, go for the world record. Word on the street is he might be able to go for Chris Otero's 105 record. Maybe we get Chris Otero to come and just jump in the warm-ups with us, and he'll do a 105 attempt all at the same time, event one at PSL. I don't want to throw a wrench in your plans, but what do you think about something like that? And you're
Yeah,
really answering Mike and Scott.
right. Yeah. I mean, by the way, Chris is a great guy.
And
Um,
maybe we get John Heck too.
yeah, someone's gonna have to pay for that one.
I'll put
But
in some work. I'll
some
start a
people,
GoFundMe.
some people get paid a lot of money to lift weights.
Yeah, yeah, that's
And I'm
true.
not saying it's not worth it, but in my as an aside, in my own conscience, if I know someone gets paid X to go do certain feats, it's not in me to ask them to come do it for less.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah,
that doesn't that like I said, John come compete. Yes, John come max deadlift when powerlifting will pay you 5 times as much as we can. That doesn't feel right.
yeah,
But aside from that, like, do I see Giant Slab's done this and it's been pretty cool, right? Put Larry wheels in the log. There've been a couple things like that.
yeah.
I don't see us going that route. The 90s did have a max deadlift a couple years ago, and it was pretty cool. You had Nick O'Hare, CJ Krause, you had Ben Donen just opening it like 8:30 or something. He won with his opener. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But like I said, if I had to rank but sometimes part of a max event's like, all right, what class is ready to put on a show with this? It's not just an arbitrary, let's do a circus dumbbell match. Like, what class is really ready to put on a show and break some records, whether they be country or world, right? So I don't do federation records. You have a country record, you have a world record. That's all we really acknowledge. So for anyone asking if they can come break a USS or a strongman court,
Yeah, that don't fly.
first of all, I'm not affiliated with, I can't do that. And second of all, that's just, you want to go do that, then you go do that in the proper venues. Um, we consider the American deadlift record, whatever American has deadlifted the most, doesn't matter what federation and any of that.
Just makes sense,
Um,
doesn't it? Yeah,
just what we're doing, yes. I can understand the value of having federation records. I get the utility of that. State records, all that. But the 90s in deadlift is definitely somewhere hovering near the top of where a max event like a deadlift would make sense because that class in that regard is ready to put on a show with it. Right? Unfortunately, the events for the shows come out before the final roster, so it's not like, we can't
yeah.
wait to get the roster then make the events. That would be called biased. Because every guy who's not ready to
Oh
break
yeah, that's a good point.
is kind of like, hey, wait, you just made an event for these people. Like, case in point, I had a max effort circus dumbbell in the U82 show before Sam said she's coming. Plain and
Oh
simple.
yeah,
Um, Some people are like, "Oh, you did that for Sam." Absolutely not. I do. I like Sam and Max. They're wonderful people. I would never put an event in a show to favor somebody. It's just
it's a
what
great.
class is ready to put on a show with that, and that's not
Yep,
a knock, right? The 105s and the Axle. Yeah, great. It's kind of had an idea who would be coming, but it's like the 105s, the Axle, Camby did. The cool thing was we got to do the exact same axle in place that Camby did it with. So that was pretty symbolic because it's like that's a very specific axle. It's its own monster. And
right,
dude, like the amount of guys that went 350 plus on that, if you haven't done a fixed axle, like just give it a shot. It is mean. So that's more of where it would go. And the 90s are up there with deadlift. It's been a couple years since they've had it, so not saying it's gonna happen, not saying it's not,
yep.
but that's kind of how it's gonna go. It's like what class. Also, like if I just know, throw out a random show. Like if I just know like Ultimates and is gonna be in June for the 90s, and there's a max deadlift there, I have a choice. I can either piggyback off of that and like keep the guys peaked up for it, or I can say, you know what, that's where they're doing that. Let me give them something different. And that's
Yeah,
part.
that's a great point too, because like
By the way, I don't know what Ultimates is. That was a pure example. Don't take me to Ultimate.
oh
I
yeah,
don't.
yeah, no, I'm not going there with this. Like it's a great point because like you want some different things in the calendar year. You don't want to see the big jerk at every show, right? Because I don't think it's a strongman movement, but it is cool for one or two. But I think it was at like four shows in a row. And then also like you made a good point about like looking at what other orgs are doing, just so you're not asking the athletes to do the same thing. And that kind of also goes down to like the calendar year too, like spacing out your shows and other orgs looking at the calendar to like make sure the athletes can make it to obviously there's only 52 weeks in the year, so like somebody might have to decide between world ultimates and maybe a pro-am, right? I might have to decide between 90 and masters PSL, but it's nice when you can space things out, or that at least you as one person are looking at that type of stuff. All right, you don't have to say any more to me. I'm not believe me, dude, you ain't hurting my feelings because I would love to hit 700 for the first time, but even with 700, I'm probably coming in the bottom 15%. So I'd rather have deadlift for reps because I'm a grinder. I'm not a max puller.
It's a wild world in the U90s when 700 is basically sit on the couch weight. Like you're not even making it on the
Unfortunately, dude. Unfortunately, and I'm still not there. But I've also gotten over the ego of like going for PRs right after the show. Like I'll get 700 next year. Maybe in a ladder. Um,
Get it when it counts, man. That's
that's
the
it.
thing. Like,
I've
get it.
I've learned that over the past 2 years with Nico, my coach. Like, don't do the YOLO stuff with your bros. Do it in the shows. And I brought my best to PSL, and it's the proudest thing I've ever done in strongman. So,
In my
um,
opinion, that's a really smart coaching moment. You only got so many PRs you're gonna hit. Like, do them when they count, as much as you possibly can. Do
it's
them.
funny, dude. It's funny you say this, right? Because it's just another PSL segue. It was Baltimore, dude. 105 Baltimore. I did, and I was still jumping in all the shows. I did that CrossFit show I told you about a couple months before that. And Nico would turn on my Instagram and see me doing like a heavy yoke with my boys on the turf when it's not in my program. And he's like, Dane, because I had doubts about the program, right? And I'll say this: I love me and Nico have a great relationship. It just took a little time to hit our groove, and man, we've gone further than I ever dreamed. But he said to me, he sent me a text. I'm like, who does this fucking guy think he is? I said, because it was basically like, Dane, please stop going YOLO with your buddies and hitting PRs and doing this stuff. He's like, I have a very thought out plan for you. Please follow it. You're going to have the best show of your life at PSL. And if you don't, you can fire me. We'll part ways equally. Right. And I said, all right, you know what? I'm going to show him. I'm going to follow the program. And dude,
Show him already.
sadly, you didn't even know this, but I blew my back out on the first event. I maintain to this day, if I didn't blow my back out, I either would have been on podium or would have been right behind podium. And even with blowing my back out, I got sixth, which was more than I had hoped for at that show. I hoped to be in the top 8. So he was right. Nico was right. So hire a good coach, guys, and
Yeah, yeah,
listen to me.
you sure showed him. Um, like,
No, we've
that,
climbed up ever
that's
since. So
yeah, that's the sign. Like, I don't really know Nico, but that's the sign of a good coach is looking out and be, hey, this is the plan. Like, what are you doing, knucklehead? Like, come on.
he's not afraid. There's some parallels there between you and him, like not afraid to tell it like it is, and his heart's in the right place. He just not afraid to say it. And sometimes that's what people need to hear. So like I said, I took it personal, but then I was like, all right, I'm either gonna like say F him and go YOLO and fire him, or I'm gonna say, all right, F you, I'll show you. I'm gonna follow the program. Who do you think you are? And it worked, dude. And I've been really following the program ever since, dude.
Yeah.
All right, last question comes from World's Strongest Nurse. I think this is kind of a fun one. Um, and she said to tell you it was her question.
Okay.
Um, who is the most fun athlete to have at one of your shows?
So many, man.
I'm gonna
Um,
add, I'm gonna add one. You give us one, and then I'm gonna add a question, and then we'll be done.
man, there's okay, I see.
Rapid fire, go. You're not hurting any feelings. Go.
Oh no, no, there's levels to that question. Um, I would say it would be very hard to pick a single favorite. I'm kind of like there's a lot of people I really like. Yes, Grace, you're one of the people that I really like to have at shows, even though you skipped them all last year. Um, but and you don't read the rules, but you're always a blast to have. There's no shortage of people that are just absolutely wonderful to have. I probably speak on this more than almost anything else is the vibe at the shows between you guys as athletes is second to none that I've seen in the sport. And I've been in the sport for a long time. There doesn't really seem to be bad eggs. There doesn't really seem to be like terrible attitudes. And the entire time that I've been running like PSL shows, so you guys, I've had to group athletes together one time and say, knock it the hell off because you're treating someone like shit. Um, and
It was
the
it
first
was us.
yeah, it was. I grabbed you guys. Hey guys, like the next one of you that gives Shannon a hard time, you're gonna have to deal with me.
Oh,
Um,
oh, oh, Shannon the volunteer.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, you know what's funny, dude? Talk to Shannon because it wasn't me. Because me and Shannon gave
Oh,
me a hug every time I see her.
for the record, I know exactly who it was, but it's
Yeah,
not about singling one person out because A,
right.
it's, everyone needs to be put on the same notice, but B, you guys kind of help each other out. Like you see someone acting like a jerk, even that they might not know they're acting like a jerk.
Yeah.
But hey, yo, that's not cool, right?
It's funny you say this, right? This is important, right? And not to be a social justice warrior, but it came up with Meg about a guy who gave her shit at OSG when she was trying to help Tyler. Um, she was trying to help Tyler warm up on logs. So she was being like, I called it a den mother. Like she's selecting attempts. Who needs this? Who's up next? Who's up next? And this one guy gave her crap. he has since been like kind of reprimanded by his own friends. We didn't say names. That's the type of champion Meg is. Said, Meg, if you want to say his name, go ahead. You're not going to hurt my feelings of his podcast. But what I said is, any athletes, if you're there and you see that stuff happening, especially we should, male or female, we should treat each other with dignity and respect how you want to be treated. But especially if you're treating a female athlete and especially a female volunteer, if you're treating them with anything but professionalism, you can get fucked. And if I see it, I'm not a super tough guy, but if I see it, I'll say something. And it's almost like if you don't see something, if you see something, say something, you're complicit. So if guys, I implore you, if you see this stuff happening, it shows, stick up for your fellow athletes, whether it's male, female, whoever, right? We don't need to be assholes. There's no room in the sport for guys like that. There is a few of them. There's no room for it.
Yeah, no, like I said, I don't think this person was intending on it, but it doesn't matter at a certain point. You can come and cuss at me for 30 seconds all you want. And I'm just gonna look at you and be like, all right, now get your point out here.
I've seen that happen too.
Yeah, I mean, you can get mad and throw your belt and hit me in the foot like Jacob McBride did, and that hurt. But like the second you start to take that out on someone that's not me, it's just not cool.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, but that's the only time. It's been a really great group of athletes. The camaraderie has been awesome. So I really credit the athletes as a whole. For making that like it just makes everything more enjoyable. So I don't know that I could pick one favorite. Like I said, Grace, you're always enjoyable to have. You're enjoyable to talk to.
All right, shoot out a couple names. We'll make it easier. Shoot out a couple names, and it's no if he doesn't say your name, he didn't. Sorry, he missed you, but you can shoot out a couple names. Have some fun with it.
Like I said, man, it's truthfully like because when I think of one person, I'm like, oh, but what about so and so and so and so and so and so,
Yep.
right? Some of my favorite like moments that I've had have been like people I didn't know. Or like I assumed were like not necessarily the easiest people to get along with. I'll take one of your current guests. I'll take Nick. Nick Hine, like love him. Seen him compete plenty of times. And I was just like, man, I don't know if that guy really if he really likes me or if he's really about this. And I talked to him for 30 seconds. I'm like, holy shit, my perception has completely changed. He's an awesome guy. He's got a great heart. He's got everything's in the right place when he's pretty squared away. And then we'll second that to the ice cream man. It's like, yep, he's going to tell you exactly how he feels about everything. That's David, but he's great to have too because you want people that are passionate. But there's a lot of those circumstances where you're just getting to know people more. As much as I think it's hilarious when someone like Lewis Bolton's like, which one's Tyler? When he's at the weigh-in. Like as much as I think that's amazing, it's hilarious because it's really not supposed to be about me. It's cool to get to know people and just get to know them a little bit more and continue conversation like you. Just lots of people. Like Grace is another one of those people. She's in that group. That's why she's asking that question.
Yep.
Meg, Tyler, how Tyler and I met and where our relationship at now is pretty is pretty cool.
That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, no, it's just there's any number of them. Having people that I've known for a long time at shows is great too. Like, Sam, Max, like they're fantastic. And getting to know people. It says, I mean, it's really hard to pick like a one person. And I promise if there was one person, I got no problem saying it. I'm human. We all
Yeah.
have favorites and people we like more. So yeah, and I'm super excited to have a couple of new people coming. I can't wait to see DJ Doggett's energy in person.
Oh yeah, dude, he's been killing it.
But I just wanted his
Yep.
energy, man. He's a fantastic guy. He's got good vibes. He's got good energy.
Yep. I
Um,
talked to him. He's gonna come on. I'm gonna wait probably till we type up the 105 show, but I can't wait to talk to DJ. It's just gonna be a while, DJ. But we already talked.
yeah,
You know.
man. Oh, and I was one of the most under like some of the hardest to say as I've had some of the coolest conversations with Quinn Ramasco after the guys weighed in about like the science of it all, just sitting
Oh
there
yeah.
talking 30, 40 minutes
I'd be
about
interested in talking to him. I know he went against Corky a couple times. I've watched him. He's very good. Um,
Quinn's
he
fantastic.
doesn't compete that often that I've seen, but I know he's won some big stuff.
He has. He lives in Hawaii, so I imagine it's rough to get over here more than
Yeah.
so often.
Sports
Uh,
sport can get pricey, man. You know.
I don't even know about that. It just means just like just the travel time. Like you're
Yeah.
not getting from Hawaii to Maryland in a few hours.
Yeah. You need a few days to acclimate, and that's a lot of vacation time. Yeah.
And Quinn's like a machine. He did one of my favorite things ever. We kind of talked about it. Quinn won U80 show not like 6 months ago, but a year before. And the guy won the show. This is when he faced off against Corky. He won the show. He went and got a beer. He came back and helped clean everything up, and he didn't stop till it was done.
I remember you talking about that before. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really nice. Yep.
Yeah, so the next year we put his silhouette on. He won the show, so it was on the athlete shirts. We also put it on all the volunteer shirts.
Yep.
Made it a specific color. I'm like, hey, dude, like so like, stuff like that is
Yep.
is really cool.
Well, that's a testament to the type of athletes that you attract, man. I look forward to talking to more of them, I think we'll end it with that. Like I'm going to talk to more of these athletes, and I think the common thread that's going to shine through is you got a really great group of guys competing in PSL, and I think that's only going to help the league. And um, I'm really looking forward to see what this year brings, man. I hope to talk to you again. Maybe like I said, after the European Championships. I know like the 105, all the shows are equal, but the 105 is kind of the flagship show, right? It's 2 days, it's on the beach, it's a destination. Guys, go to the show. I think I said it on Nick Hines' podcast. I've been to the show. I volunteered at the show. It was the most fun I've had in Strongman. Was volunteering at that show, hanging out with Clayton and Tommy Sharp and Nancy Johnson, all the other volunteers whose names I don't remember. Bobby Thompson, who I think is a great judge. If you guys can afford to travel, even if it's only for a day, it's on the beach. Take your wives, come down, watch the show. It's just an awesome time.
It's
But yeah,
vacation. Good time.
it's a
And
vacation, man. Yep. Me and the
yeah,
wife are coming down, and I think we can leave it at that. Hopefully, I'll talk to you again soon. Looking forward to seeing the rankings page tomorrow. And guys, if you see this, you got a week, to sign up for the qualifiers. Maybe message Tyler, maybe get you in there,
yeah,
and
put it in there.
hope to see some of you guys in Baltimore.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. Thank you, Dan. I appreciate the time, man.
Thank you, Tyler. Appreciate it.